Chapter 266. Punk. After the green dragon god would exploded, it turned into a green energy current. It actually turned into many small green dragons that drilled into the depths of the Dragon Gate. Gu Chansha and Lu Baiwei used their essence Qi, using the power of the Dragon Gate and Green Dragon God would to train their bodies. After the Dragon Gate absorbed the Green Dragon God wood, it moved even faster. The moment the heaven-mending divine general was covered by the azure dragon divine wood, the meridians in his body immediately expanded. Not only did the speed at which he circulated and stored stellar energy become faster, the strength of the heaven-mending divine general increased by several times. Great! Gu Qinsha was delighted. He knew that if he released each of his heaven-repairing god generals, they would be able to fight on the same level as those Tao Realm 9 transformation geniuses. After all, puppets were puppets, and under normal circumstances, they wouldn't be able to defeat humans of the same realm. But Gu Qinsha's heaven-repairing god generals were nourished by the green dragon god with energy, and their bodies greatly increased. This had already broken through normal logic. How long? Gu Qinsha's meridians expanded, and his sea of energy expanded. As he breathed in and out, his pores became like enormous vortexes. Lu Baiwa benefited even more. Her body expanded and actually started to shrink. She was only a foot tall. She then swelled up to the height of 3 people and turned into a true giant. Although this wasn't size manipulation, it still represented the limit of the body's elasticity. At the same time, when she used the great massacre god technique, her soul appeared above her head. It gave off a feeling of being one with heaven and earth, and then it showed signs of splitting into 3. Gu Qinsha knew that this aura and charm meant that after Lu Baiwei reached the 16th Tao Realm transformation, she had also touched upon the 17th Tao Realm splitting soul division. Not long ago, Lu Baiwei had gone into seclusion with him to comprehend and refine the saintly dragon celestial soldier into a heaven-mending divine general. That was how he had cultivated the 16 transformations, reincarnation in a corpse. Originally, he needed a long time to consolidate his cultivation and accumulate strength. However, under the nourishment of the azure dragon divine wood's energy, Lu Baiwei could save at least a few years of bitter cultivation. In the end, all of the azure dragon divine wood's spiritual energy flowed into the depths of the Dragon Gate. The Dragon Gate became even more unfathomable. There seemed to be an ancient azure dragon lurking in the depths, and a black tortoise lurking even deeper. The aura was complex, distant, and profound. This Dragon Gate gave people the feeling that it could devour all living things, turn them into primal chaos, and then break down the primal chaos into all living things. Gu Qinsha's eyes were really sharp, and he knew that his strength had increased by a lot. During this period of time, he had been cultivating hard. Although he was still at Tao Realm Transformation 11, the increase in his combat strength allowed him to kill people at Tao Realm Transformation 19. For example, if Kang were to appear again, there would be no need for Lu Baiwei, as Gu Qinsha would be able to kill her on his own. Baiwei, I'm afraid your cultivation level will soon reach the golden core of the 18 transformations. At that time, we can work together to open the book of heavenly demons again. Gu Qinsha knew very well that the situation was urgent. He had to do everything possible to increase his strength. This time, when he captured Jing Fanxing, the sword formed the sky, and the clouds were endless. This was the same as slapping the faces of the 3 sects in the celestial path. The 3 sects definitely wouldn't let this matter rest. From the green dragon godwood, there was actually the will of the sect leader's soul. This meant that the Black Heaven Earth sect wanted to kill Si Jingxian. Although they failed this time, it wasn't much of a loss to the Black Heaven Earth sect. The good thing was that the sacrifice in the Sun-Moon altar cut off all connections with the outside world. The Black Heaven Earth sect leader only knew that he had lost his soul and that the mission had failed. He didn't know what had happened, which made the Black Heaven Earth sect feel that Si Jingxian was really mysterious. Let's find a chance to work together with the 4th and Black Tortoise to enter the book of heavenly demons once more. Lu Baiwei was really confident. We will devour more monster souls to replenish our soul. Apart from that, I can use the monster souls in the Book of Heavenly Demons to refine endless officials. The Book of Heavenly Demons was in the hands of Lu Baiwei, and she was studying it constantly. If there's time, give some pointers to the green and white snakes. The Book of Heavenly Demons is their fate, Gu Qinsha said. Of course, the Book of Heavenly Demons is just a temporary vessel for us. After we use it, we can abandon it. I have already appointed the green and white snakes to important positions in the Sea Jingxian. They're in charge of the treasury, and I often give them pointers. After I cultivate the golden core of the great Tao, I will use the endless realm to cleanse them and help them be reborn. Lu Baiwei said, by the way, we have refined the green dragon godwood and benefited a lot. We have also gained a lot from comprehending the myriad stars flying immortal art. Let's divine the reincarnation of the other demon star. That's good too. This is a kind of connection between the human heart and heaven and earth. It is very beneficial for cultivation. We will divine and observe heaven and earth from the sun-moon altar. Lu Baiwei said, the heaven sacrificial talisman itself is a supreme Dharma treasure that communicates with heaven and earth. If we divine the stars from it, there might be many unexpected wonders. The heaven sacrificial talisman itself was one of the incarnations of the heavenly Tao. The heavenly Tao could not be seen, and no one knew what its shape was or what it looked like. However, with the talisman, some wise people could divine clues of the heavenly Tao based on the talisman. Immediately, Gu Qinsha and Lu Baiwei stayed in the sun-moon altar to observe the stars and divine the changes. In the depths of the sun-moon altar, absorbing spiritual qi, gathering the power of the stars, and comprehending the heavenly Tao was much faster than any array. Even a person with stupid aptitude could cultivate at a speed comparable to a genius in the sun-moon altar. In fact, Gu Qinsha had not fully unleashed the power of the heaven sacrificial talisman. The ancient desolate dragon gate and the medieval heaven sacrificial talisman were two great Dharma treasures that shook the 9 heavens and 10 earths. It was mainly because Gu Qinsha had not become the son of heaven and gathered the son of heaven's energy to transform the talisman. Therefore, many of its wonders had not been revealed. As the two divined, a whirlpool of stars appeared above the sun-moon altar. The stars appeared in front of them one by one. The stars in the sky seemed to have expanded thousands of times, allowing Gu Qinsha and Lu Baiwei to see the true appearance of the stars. Countless stars revolved according to a certain pattern, forming all kinds of star charts. Gu Qinsha's soul expanded, as if he had grasped something. Rumble. Suddenly, the light of the sun and moon above the sun-moon altar faded. The altar shook violently, as if some kind of change had happened. What's going on? Gu Qinsha hurriedly stood up with Lu Baiwei. He felt that something was wrong. This was because he felt that the sun-moon altar seemed to have undergone an unprecedented change. Come, let's go out, Lu Baiwei said hurriedly. Gu Qinsha felt that controlling the sun-moon altar was extremely difficult. It was extremely cryptic, as if he could not get out. Originally, ever since the sun-moon altar fused into his sea of consciousness, it was absolutely safe. He could enter and exit as he wished. But now, with the sun-moon altar's restlessness, Gu Qinsha actually felt that he could not control the heaven sacrificial talisman. Open for me, Gu Qinsha roared. He used all his mental energy, wanting to tear open the space of the sun-moon altar and escape. This time, he and Lu Baiwei finally found an opening. The two hurriedly crawled out. If they were trapped inside and could not get out, it would be a huge joke. After coming out, Gu Qinsha and Lu Baiwei stood side by side in the secret room. Gu Qinsha hurriedly observed his sea of consciousness. He realized that the sun-moon altar was actually shrinking. It was not under his control at all. It seemed to be continuously swallowing his soul and the earth energy in his body. Oh no! Gu Qinsha's expression changed. Is the heavenly Tao changing? The heaven sacrificial talisman is going to fly away on its own? The ancient emperor also faced such a problem. If the heavenly Tao no longer cared for you, the talisman would fly away to find its next owner. This talisman should not belong to me. Father fought with the heavenly Tao and gave it to me. I was prepared. This talisman will fly away, but even if it does, it won't take my common people heaven-mending technique with it. Gu Chansha felt that the talisman had turned into a giant whirlpool that was going to suck away all his cultivation. This was why his expression changed. In the ancient records, when the ancient emperor's talisman flew away, it would at most take away the emperor god's sealing technique. It wouldn't take away the technique that he created. Now, it seemed to have become a tragic situation. This heaven sacrificial talisman wanted to absorb all his cultivation and even his soul. This is the backlash of the heavenly Tao. Liu Baiyue's expression also changed. The heaven sacrificial talisman itself doesn't belong to you, but the emperor forcefully snatched it and gave it to you. This is a heaven-defying action. Naturally, you will suffer the backlash of the heavenly Tao. While speaking, she injected her God-slaughtering energy into Gu Chencha's body in an attempt to suppress the energy that was being sucked away. But the heaven sacrificial talisman seemed to have sensed the God-slaughtering energy and shook even more intensely. Leave me. If not, we will all die from the backlash of the heavenly Tao. Gu Chansha already knew how strong the backlash of the heavenly Tao was. Although he had planned it, he didn't expect that the backlash of the heavenly Tao would actually swallow his soul and flesh as punishment. This was the punishment of the heavens. The ancient son of heaven had obtained the talisman by obeying the heavens, while Gu Chansha had stolen it. I'm also being sucked in. I can't move at all. Liu Baiyue hurriedly circulated the God-slaughtering energy, but she still felt the source energy in her body being sucked away by the heaven sacrificial talisman. Even if the two of them had lofty ambitions, they couldn't resist the backlash of the heavenly Tao. The backlash of the heavenly Tao could kill all gods. Just when the two of them were unable to resist and were bitterly holding on, suddenly, a piece of paper floated up from within the heaven sacrificial talisman. It emitted boundless radiance and instantly suppressed the talisman's movement. On that piece of paper, there were 4 large words: Man conquers heaven. It was the handwriting of the heaven talisman Great Emperor. When Gu Chansha met the heaven talisman Great Emperor, it could be said that it was the first time the father and son had a heart-to-heart talk. The heaven talisman Great Emperor had written the 4 words, Man conquers heaven. Gu Chansha knew that these 4 words definitely had a deeper meaning. Perhaps it was related to the heaven sacrificial talisman Great Emperor, so he placed it in the sun-moon altar. Today, the heaven talisman Great Emperor's schemes were indeed revealed. The heaven talisman Great Emperor had given Gu Chansha a death immunity talisman and these 4 words, Man conquers heaven. Taking advantage of the fact that the talisman was suppressed by Man conquers heaven, Gu Chansha immediately retracted his essence, energy, and spirit. However, the heaven sacrificial talisman suddenly vibrated violently. It actually broke free from Gu Chencha's sea of consciousness and entered the void, disappearing in an instant. This talisman finally left Gu Chansha and flew away on its own. This talisman has nothing to do with me anymore. Gu Chencha's entire body seemed to have relaxed. He didn't feel depressed because he had lost this supreme treasure. Chapter 267. When the talisman flew away, I felt that Father's words were still suppressing the power within the talisman. The two of them were changing, and it seemed like there was an unbelievable change. Gu Chansha exhaled deeply and circulated his strength. He realized that not only did it not disappear, but it actually improved when he was resisting the backlash of the heavens. It was just that he couldn't do it anymore. Moreover, his path of cultivating the Son of Heaven God sealing technique was also blocked. He had now cultivated the Sun-Moon refining, Sun-Moon transformation, Sun-Moon annihilation, Sun-Moon dragon, Sun-Moon talisman, and Sun-Moon sacrifice. Legend had it that after the talisman left Emperor Gu and searched for a lower emperor, that Emperor Gu's memories of the Son of Heaven God's sealing technique would disappear. This was why there were no records of the Son of Heaven God sealing technique in the tombs of the Emperor. Now, in the depths of Gu Chincha's mind, the Son of Heaven God sealing technique was still etched in it. Lu Baiwe also remembered it. Actually, in the ancient records, even if the Emperor obtained it, he couldn't pass it down to others. If he did, he would face a calamity, and the person who has passed it would suffer even more. However, all this was changed by Gu Qinsha and Lu Baiwe. Of course, this was the plan of the Heaven Talisman Emperor. You have to be more careful in the future after losing the talisman. In the past, when we faced danger, we could enter it with just a thought. Even gods wouldn't be able to find us. Now that we face experts, it won't be so convenient anymore. Lu Baiwe warned. It is okay. This is also a training for us. Without the Sun-Moon altar, we can still roam the world. I am a top talent now, and the common people heaven-mending technique is close to completion after dozens of deductions. Moreover, we don't need this talisman to cultivate anymore. Gu Qinshan naturally knew how amazing it was. Luckily, he was prepared and didn't use the talisman for a long time. This could be said to be preparing for a rainy day. Our top priority right now is to find out who the Heaven's sacrificial decree will fall into. This is the biggest variable. Lu Baiwe said, the good thing is that you still have the Son of Heaven's God bestowment art, so you can use all kinds of transformations to your heart's content. This is the greatest advantage, and also the area where the heavenly Tao couldn't defeat His Majesty. We can use the Son of Heaven's God bestowment art to sense the location of the heavenly talismans. It's possible. Gu Qinsha used Sun-Moon refinement, Sun-Moon transformation, Sun-Moon annihilation, Sun-Moon dragons, Sun-Moon talismans, Sun-Moon sacrificial rite, and all sorts of other miraculous magics, all of which had never happened before. Right now, we have two things to do. First, we need to see who has the Heaven Sacrifice Talisman. Second, we need to see what the reincarnated Xing Chun will do. Just now, when the Heaven Sacrifice Talisman went berserk, the Heaven Tao was flawed. Although we were in a very dangerous situation and almost died, the Heavenly Tao was agitated, and we found a flaw. How about you? How do you feel? Me too. Lu Baiwe's hands moved, and instantly, astral energy surged out of her body, forming a huge picture in front of her. This picture was actually the great Yonko's divine land. Without thinking, Gu Qinsha's Xiantian astral energy also surged out, forming a star picture, exactly the same as the nebula in the sky. Back when he was recruiting Baoyu country, he had secretly studied the power of the stars, and when he fought with Tai Mang Di, he used the astral world transformation that he had comprehended. In fact, all the sects and clans used the power of the stars to gather energy, refine their bodies, cultivate their Yuan Shun, and build formations. After fighting with Tai Mang Di, they discussed for several days and learned many things. Later on, he obtained the 28 Mansions Fiend transformation from the Book of Heavenly Demon, and finally had some small success in comprehending the stars. After that, he and Lu Baiwe comprehended it again, and then went to find Grand Tutor Wenhong, obtaining the myriad stars flying immortal art and other understanding of the Tao. Then, he cultivated again, using the Yuan Shun of the Black Heaven Earth sect hidden in the Azure Dragon Divine, would to sacrifice the heavenly Tao and calculate the common people heaven mending art. After this series of cultivation, his understanding of the stars was no less than many of the old antiques. At this time, he and Lu Baiwe worked together, one using astral energy to form the mountains and rivers of the divine land, the other turning into a star picture, and they worked together. All of a sudden, the star picture trembled, and heaven and earth shook. Countless stars fell to the ground, almost recreating the disaster from that day. Gu Qinsha and Lu Baiwe worked together, playing out the moment when the fiend star descended. Just like this, the two repeatedly practiced, again and again, practicing over 1,000 times. Suddenly, a bright light appeared in a prefecture in the divine land, flickering slightly and then immediately vanishing. This is Lang Prefecture, Gu Qinsha and Lu Baiwe said at the same time. There's also a reincarnated Xing Chun. Then, the two used the Son of Heaven God sealing art and the Great Massacre God art again in an attempt to find the whereabouts of the Heaven Sacrificial Decree. This time, there was no result. It seems that our cultivation is not enough to calculate the whereabouts of the Heaven Sacrificial Decree. Lu Baiyue's expression was very unsightly. I'm going to Lang Prefecture to find a reincarnated Xing Chun. This time, I must bring him into the calming immortal department. There was no worry in Gu Chench's eyes, only great confidence. The departure of the Heaven's Sacrificial Decree made him feel much more relaxed. From now on, he felt like a bird flying in the sky, a fish swimming in the sea. The talisman had helped him a lot in the early days, but now that he had his own path, the talisman was a burden to his soul. It was better for it to fly away. He didn't lack cultivation methods or treasures. He called out to Lu Baiwe and took to the skies, heading straight for Langzhou. At the same time, Qingyao landed on a tall mountain in the Bourish wastes. She flicked her finger, and Jing Fanxing, Jian Chenkong, and Xiao Wujin all descended. Damn it! Jing Fanxing's body exploded with great power, and his resentment soared to the sky. I'm going to kill Gu Chansha and Lu Baiwe. Those be asterisk cheese. All my treasures and pills were taken by them. Jian Chenkong and Xiao Wujin's expressions were extremely ugly. They were so angry that their faces had turned black. This was a great humiliation to them, and they had suffered great losses. Not only had they been imprisoned, but everything of value had also been taken away. The treasures they had painstakingly cultivated and the pills and talismans their sex had given them were all gone. Apart from their clothes, they were practically naked. Jing Fanxing, in particular, was a core disciple of the Black Heaven Earth Gate. He was one of the higher-ups of the sect, and the resources he received were far beyond what ordinary disciples could compare to. He had many treasures that had been given to him by the higher-ups of the sect, but now they belonged to the Bureau of Calmness. Even your North and South Dipper Soul Protection Pearls were taken away. Qingyao looked it over. This was personally refined by the sect leader. It uses the Constellation Pearl formation as its foundation and incorporates the life power of the South Dipper and the death power of the North Dipper. The yin and yang of life and death protects the nascent spirit. With this pearl, you won't have to worry about someone stronger than you stealing your soul and nascent spirit. In addition, this treasure can protect your nascent spirit. Even if your physical body collapses and you reincarnate, your soul won't be harmed. This treasure will be a great opportunity for you in the future. Don't lose it. I didn't lose it. Jing Fanxing's eyebrows twitched, and a black and white taiji bead emerged from his ancestral aperture. It spun and released the starlight of life and death. This treasure is very mysterious. It is already fused with my nascent spirit, so that bitch couple didn't discover it. Elder Qingyao, Jian Chenkong, and Xiao Wujin respected Qingyao very much. Why didn't the sect destroy the Bureau of Calmness in one fell swoop? Instead, they gave us the Azure Dragon Divine Wood. That Azure Dragon Divine Wood, even for those above the 20 transformations, it's a rare cultivation treasure. It's such a pity to give it to that slut couple. Whether the Heavenly Talisman Emperor is in seclusion or has completely disappeared, no one dares to act rashly. Qingyao waved her hand. You didn't come out empty-handed. At least you attacked the Bureau of Calmness. If the Heavenly Talisman Emperor didn't come out, how could you let them get the Azure Dragon Divine Wood so easily? The sect leader has his own plans. As long as they refine it, they'll be beyond redemption. We will follow the lead of the Black Heaven and Earth sect, Jian Chenkong and Xiao Wujin said. Very good. The three of you continue to act and cause chaos in the world. Qingyao said, especially you, Jing Fanxing. Don't be discouraged by this. I will take revenge and cultivate my skills. I will kill that bitch couple and Wenhong. Jing Fanxing still didn't know that it was Gu Qinsha who had captured them. He thought it was Wenhong's incarnation. With his 18 transformations, Tao, Realm Golden Core Cultivation, he didn't believe that he wouldn't be able to fight back against Gu Qinsha. The three of you will assist Wu Dankong, Qing Yao said. Wu Dankong's identity is a little mysterious. I can't explain it now, but if you assist her, you can disrupt the Heavenly Talisman Emperor's plans. You will be favored by the world, and your cultivation will be smooth sailing. You will have many fortuitous encounters. Don't think that the world is useless. If you participate in the world, you will be able to obtain the Heavenly Tao's fate. Thank you. The three of them lowered their heads. Also, you have to be careful of Gu Tanjian. Qing Yao's expression was solemn. This person's cultivation isn't much, but he has many mysterious powers supporting him. Everyone in the immortal Tao guesses that he has the support of the Great Spirit God, but that's not the case. I'm afraid there is someone even stronger and more terrifying than the Great Spirit God. I still can't see what this kid wants, Jing Fanqing said. He wants to control the world and become the emperor. Qing Yao knew. It's very possible that the Great Spirit God and the stronger existence behind him have comprehended the emperor's energy that only the Heavenly Tao can use. Did that dog of an emperor, Gu Taxian, comprehend it as well? Jing Fanqing's gaze was dark. It's very possible. Qing Yao waved her hand. But this isn't something you guys can manage. You guys are going to support Wu Dankong on one hand and play along with Gu Zhanjian on the other. Figure out his true strength, got it? Chapter 268. In the palace of Sky Bearing Pass, Wu Dankong was cultivating in her own palace. This time, she went for wool and came home shorn. She was put into a very difficult situation by Gu Qinsha and Liu Baiwei. Her foundation in the imperial court was already shallow. She was only able to work in the upper study room and lead the group of officials because of the decree of Heavenly Talisman Emperor. After that, she worked together with Gu Tanjian and obtained the support of a group of princes. Only then did she gradually gain a foothold. Originally, she wanted to use some methods to clip the wings of the Comingxian Bureau and turn her scenic martial trade union into the largest trade union. However, Jing Fanqing and the other two were captured, causing the Comingxian Bureau to make a big fuss. Even Gu Tanjian had to retreat and didn't dare to make any move for the time being. She naturally tried her best to distance herself from Jing Fanqing and ordered the Scenic Martial Trade Union to quickly return the items that they had embezzled from the National Treasury. This way, the fourth of the Comingxian Bureau wasn't easy to deal with. He immediately expanded and suppressed the Scenic Martial Trade Union again. Jean Suebois even snatched away most of the Scenic Martial Trade Union's business in the Immortal Tao. The fourth strength was unfathomable and was evaluated by Grand Preceptor Wen Hong as not bad. He was an unparalleled genius who created the illusory beyond heaven's divine art. How could it be so easy to deal with? Wu Dankong didn't gain any advantage when she fought with the fourth in the trade union. What a pity. Wu Dankong woke up from her meditative state. Thinking about how she was in a disadvantageous position these days, she emitted an ice-cold, baleful aura. The Comingxian Bureau has great potential. Gu Qinsha and Liu Baiwei are almost equivalent to Fa Wuxian. Gu Huasha is an unparalleled genius. Long Zifei, Liu Huayue, Liu Yu, Mo Chao, Zhao Yang, Qian Zhen, and Zhou are also unparalleled geniuses. Other than them, there's also Jean Suebois. This person is extremely terrifying. In the future, when these people grow up, they will simply be terrifying. Wu Dankong calculated. She was quick-witted and had long since investigated the structure of the Tranquil Immortal Department. Apart from Gu Qinsha, Liu Baiwei, and Gu Huasha, the other geniuses were not to be underestimated. All they lacked was time to grow. The Calming Immortal Department now had scale, resources, and cultivation techniques. Peerless geniuses could cultivate at an incomparably fast pace. They have Wen Hong's support behind them, and they even obtained the Sky Demon book. I'm afraid their strength will increase by 100 times. Wu Dankong knocked on the table. How can we weaken them? I don't have many talented subordinates. Jing Fanqing is also a piece of trash. He was blinded by hatred and fell into the barrier of hatred. She circulated her divine art, and many flames appeared in front of her. The flames twined around her body, turning into all kinds of birds and fire crows. In the end, it gathered fiercely and actually turned into a head of fire. Phoenix. But fire. The phoenix was still evolving. It was as if he was about to transform into the vermilion bird divine beast. While cultivating, her body became smaller and smaller. In the end, she turned into the size of a fist. She wanted to shrink, but she couldn't. She had already cultivated to the size manipulation realm, Tao realm 19 transformations. Moreover, she seemed to have grasped a secret technique, and her body contained the vermilion bird flame. Phoenix bloodline. After size manipulation, her body was far stronger than the glass body. Just as she was cultivating, the space shook and a talisman appeared in front of her. She sensed an extremely huge aura. Her body shook and she turned back to normal. Then, she saw the talisman in front of her. This talisman was a green scroll. It wasn't made of metal, silk, or hemp. There were 4 words on it, like a flying bird. Orders from the heavens? Wu Dangkong was a talented person, and she immediately saw through what the 4 words on the green scroll were. Pung pung pung. Her heart started to beat intensely. Is this the heaven's sacrifice decree? She couldn't believe her eyes. She reached out and grabbed the scroll. When she felt the coldness, she knew that this talisman was real. A talisman that has never appeared in the ancient times actually appeared in front of me. Am I ordered by the heavens? Even though Wu Dangkong had a deep cultivation, she couldn't suppress her emotions. After a long while, she calmed herself down and accepted the reality in front of her. Even with her shrewdness, she couldn't help but give off an even stronger aura. No wonder the Heaven Talisman Emperor summoned me into the palace and asked me to take charge of the study room. Everything was in preparation for this. He seemed to have predicted that the Heaven Sacrifice Decree would appear and fall into my hands. In that case, I will be in danger. What if he comes out of seclusion and asks for this talisman from me? Wouldn't I be a sheep walking into a tiger's mouth? No, I want to strengthen myself. With this talisman, who in the world can be my match? Legend has it that this talisman requires the energy of the emperor to be sacrificed. I can obtain unparalleled power and even the emperor's god investiture art. Wu Dangkong held the talisman and seemed to have made up her mind. Since this is the case, the heavenly talisman is in my hands, then the world is mine. Not only will the world be mine, but the immortals will also be under my control, and the gods will also be conferred by me. I am the rightful emperor, the son of heaven. Lang Prefecture. Located in the east of the Divine Continent, there were many great scholars in the past dynasties. However, the people here did not seek fame. Instead, a large number of scholars liked to seek immortality and seek the Tao. They lived in seclusion and went deep into the East Baron. Guchansha stood high up in the sky. The astral winds were so cold that even metal and stone would be blown into powder. However, it had no effect on him. Instead, the Dragon Gate was constantly absorbing the astral winds of the 9 heavens and transporting it to the depths of Buzhou Palace to condense into talismans. It was the astral wind talisman. The astral winds of the 9 heavens were extremely fierce and could even disperse primordial spirits. They had great offensive power. Brilliant martial cultivators also collected the astral winds of the 9 heavens and refined them into talismans. Some stored them into talismans, while others made them into talismans. Originally, with Gu Chencha's cultivation level, he could not make the astral winds of the 9 heavens into talismans. However, the Dragon Gate's power was not to be underestimated. In addition, Buzhou Palace itself was a talisman manufacturing factory. With the two working together, he could absorb the astral winds of the 9 heavens and make talismans, wind blades, wind arrows, wind dragons, and wind beasts. Although Guchansha did not lack talismans, he had 36 heaven-mending divine general puppets that did not have talismans. If these 36 heaven-mending divine generals all had powerful talismans to protect them, then their power would increase by many folds. Fortunately, Buzhou Palace was extremely powerful and also had a great talisman manufacturing ability. It could condense the power of the stars and the astral winds of the nine heavens, as well as all sorts of energy and vital energy to create talismans. Gu Chensha absorbed the astral winds and turned them into talismans. Then, he used the talismans to mix with the starlight. And finally, he used the essences of the 5 metals and jade as a carrier to forge a set of heaven-mending battle robes. He had a rich knowledge of refining artifacts. This heaven-mending battle robes was a combination of the sky demon battle robes recorded in the Book of Heavenly Demons, the myriad star battle robes of the myriad star flying immortal art, the divine dragon armor, the son of heaven battle robes of the son of heaven investiture art, and even the heavenly cycle battle robes of the Tao of Buzhou. Of course, if this heaven-mending battle robes was made, it might not be comparable to the sky demon battle robes or myriad star battle robes, but it was indeed the most suitable battle robe for heaven-mending divine generals. If this battle robe could be refined, not only could heaven-mending divine generals store astral energy within it, but could also increase their defense and speed. There are also many killing moves. In the Buzhou Palace, there was a ball of metallic essence and a ball of jade constantly circulating. Under the activation of the Buzhou Palace, the vast power of the stars turned into astral flames that burned the golden stone. The golden stone melted and fused together. The astral flames seeped into it, and spiritual chi and immortal chi were extracted by the Buzhou Palace's formations and constantly tempered. Then, after the golden stone melted, it turned into a ball of air. Finally, it wriggled and took the form of a battle robe armor. The Buzhou Palace condensed starlight and constantly carved many formations on it. And the 360 heaven-mending divine generals constantly used their astral energy to activate the many formations of the Buzhou Palace. The absorbed astral winds of the 9 heavens turned into talismans that were also injected into the battle robe armor. Then, more and more talismans appeared, finally turning into a human-shaped whirlwind. This was the giant wind spirit that had gathered. The giant wind spirit was something that was equivalent to the great strength heavenly works. It was recorded in the Great Spirit God technique that when one's cultivation reached a certain level, they could gather astral winds of the 9 heavens and mix it with spiritual chi to give birth to a spirit, turning it into a giant wind spirit. Then, with the giant wind spirit as the foundation, they could create a giant spirit soldier. And Gu Chansha used the Buzhou Palace to create the giant wind spirit and fuse it into the heaven-mending battle robe, causing the speed of the battle robe to become extremely fast. This was his train of thought. However, a set of heaven-mending battle robe was not so easy to refine. It required repeated tempering and extraction. Even if the Buzhou Palace and the Dragon Gate worked together and the 360 heaven-mending divine generals worked together, it would still take several months. Of course, the most important thing was that it required materials, metallic essence, and jade. Right now, Gu Chensha was not mass-producing it because he did not have enough materials. He was trying to make one to see. He stood in the air and observed the terrain of the entire Lang province, trying to find the person who had reincarnated from Xingchun. He continued to calculate, but he didn't manage to come up with any results. After a long time, he landed and turned into a traveling scholar. He walked around and observed the people. At the same time, he refined the heaven-mending technique in his body. He realized that he walked among the people and interacted with them. He observed their lives, and his comprehension of the heaven-mending technique improved greatly. More than half a year passed in the following days. He traveled all over Lang province, covering various provinces, counties, towns, and villages. He also did some things in secret, such as punishing evil, promoting good, and helping the needy. He also got to know some scholars who were also traveling. At the same time, he wasn't just sightseeing. He began to make arrangements in Lang province. Under his secret command, the people of the Celestial Pacification Bureau gradually infiltrated Lang province. From agriculture, commerce, scholars, and martial arts, he gained full control of Lang Province. Lang Province was also an important place. It produced many scholars and was very knowledgeable. After all, it was close to the Eastern Barren Land, and some aristocratic families had deep connections with the Celestial Tao. The largest aristocratic family in Lang Province was the Sima family. Although it was not a saint family, it had a foundation of thousands of years. There were many talents in the family, and there were even cultivators. However, they kept a low profile. Even among the officials in Lang Province, there were no people from the Sima family. This was different from the Wu family. In Wu Province, many provincial government officials were from the Wu family. Even the imperial court found it hard to restrict the local tyrants. Chapter 269. These people from the Sima family are interesting. Gu Qinsha walked on the small path in the village. It was spring, and in the blink of an eye, for years had passed. He was now 18. Since the 14th year, when he obtained the decree, he was just a normal prince with the strength to truss a chicken. Now he could use the Heaven Dao and move mountains. The changes were huge. The world became more and more prosperous, and it wasn't affected by Heaven Talisman Emperor's secluded meditation. Large-scale construction had begun among the people. Even the small roads in the countryside had begun to be paved with stone. Schools had been built in all the major provincial capitals and prefectures. They taught for free, and students were also provided with food and lodging. Outstanding students would be rewarded handsomely every year, and some might even become rich. In the school, students studied civil and martial arts, engineering, manufacturing, agriculture, and even political affairs and strategies. They were open-minded, and the school was coeducational. There were many talents among the girls. Originally, there were many objections to the idea of a co-ed school, and the girls had to learn martial arts. However, Imperial Father made Wu Dangkong the Minister of State's supervisor of the upper study. It seems like he has the intention of setting an example. Gu Qinsha secretly pondered in his heart, Wu Dangkong is a woman. It is not good for her to brazenly destroy Father's national policy. As he walked, Gu Qinsha was delighted. During this half a year, he walked the streets and searched for people who reincarnated from stars. His common people heaven-mending technique was close to completion, and the energy and mental energy in his body had been cleansed. He could break through to Tao Realm Transformation 12 at any time. During these 4 years, he improved really quickly. Now, he wasn't in a rush to break through. Instead, he was accumulating and brewing. Coming into contact with common people was the best training. He even came into contact with some ways to rule a country. For example, sometimes people were destroyers of heaven and earth, but most of the time, they could protect the order of heaven and earth, govern the mountains and rivers, and balance yin and yang. When yin and yang were in chaos, heaven and earth wouldn't be peaceful either. The purpose of humans was to spin yin and yang and to create good fortune. Gu Qinsha strolled on the small path in the village. Spring was in the air, and beside the road were rice fields. Water and green seedlings flowed by one. There were also farmers who were busy in the fields. This place was beautiful and filled with people. Energy flowed underground and formed a natural formation. It was like a flood dragon was swimming around. It was a decent place. As he walked, he suddenly heard someone singing. My hands fill the fields with green seedlings, and when I lower my head, I see the sky and water in the sky. My 6 roots are pure and clear, and retreating turns out to be advancing. When Gu Qinsha heard this song, he suddenly felt that it contained a profound meaning. He immediately looked over and saw a middle-aged man transplanting rice seedlings. He quickly asked, "Uncle, what song are you singing?" "Oh, so it's a scholar." The middle-aged man raised his head and looked at the farmer respectfully. The scholar had a high status in the imperial court, and the farmer did not dare to slight him. This song was written by a scholar who lived at the foot of the mountain not far from here. His name was Zhugeya. His family owned 100 acres of fertile land and several fruit trees. He was considered a well-off family. However, this scholar did not go out to become an official. He stayed at home to take care of his family business and had 2 or 3 servants to serve him. His parents died young. Zhuge? Gu Qinsha had never heard of this name before. It seemed like he was just an ordinary elementary scholar. Based on his family background, he could be considered to be slightly wealthy. However, the poem he wrote was rather interesting. Gu Qinsha wanted to pay him a visit. At that point, he clasped his hands and thanked the middle-aged man. He then walked towards the foot of the mountain where the scholar Zhuge lived. In the distance, there was a mountain. It wasn't very tall, and there were fruit trees growing on it. A few streams flowed down from the mountain, forming a small pond, nourishing the farmland below. The seedlings in this farmland were luxuriant and far exceeded the other paddy fields. It was unknown what kind of mystical method was used. This is the Nine Tunes Milky Way formation. It draws the water from the river, and it bends and turns. It converges into a pond and gathers spiritual energy. It seems like the person who lived in seclusion here is not ordinary. Gu Qinsha observed and was interested. At the foot of the mountain, there was a house made of green bricks. It was built in a classical style, and there were chickens, ducks, and geese by the side. There were even a few big yellow dogs and cats playing around. It was a warm and peaceful life in the countryside. Looking at it made one's heart feel at peace. Gu Qinsha observed as he walked. He saw a young boy waiting by the roadside. When he saw him approaching, he hurriedly clasped his hands. An esteemed person has arrived. I have been waiting for you under the orders of my master. Oh, your master knew that I was coming? Gu Qinsha was taken aback. This time, he was traveling casually. Just now, he had a sudden idea. When he heard the song, he decided to pay a visit to the place where the elementary scholar lived. How could he have been predicted and even sent someone to wait for him? Last night, my master was observing the heavenly phenomena. He realized that the ecliptic had shifted, the equatorial had returned to normal, the green had vibrated, and the purple had rotated. This corresponded to the Earth's meridians. He knew that an esteemed person would come today. This young boy was extremely calm as he spoke. He spoke with fervor and assurance. What he was talking about was extremely profound and profound. This caused Gu Qinsha to be even more surprised. This young boy was only 7 or 8 years old, and yet he was so knowledgeable. It was rare to see someone like him. Both his eyes flickered, and he realized that this young boy was a genius. This was shocking. Even the Black Heaven Earth sect, a sect as powerful as the Black Heaven Earth sect, would want to fight for such a genius. How could he be a young boy in a commoner's household? He did not make a sound and waited to see what would happen. If that's the case, please lead the way. The young boy clasped his hands. Mister, please follow me. Before long, the two of them arrived at the courtyard of a house at the foot of the mountain. A man walked out from the house. He was dressed in white and held a feather fan in his hands. He was about 24 or 25 years old. When he saw Gu Qinsha, he laughed out loud. 19th Prince has graced us with your presence. Please forgive me for not welcoming you earlier. How did Mr. know that I am the 19th Prince? Gu Qinsha was even more shocked. This young man in white actually gave him a feeling that he was extremely intelligent. I may be from mountains, but I know the general situation of the world. If I could not recognize the son of a dragon and the grandson of a phoenix, wouldn't I be blind? The young man in white, Zhuge, instructed, Young boy, bring a tea table into the courtyard. I have business to discuss with Monarch Shen. The young boy was nimble and quickly prepared the table and tea. Gu Qinsha did not stand on ceremony and sat down. He was somewhat puzzled. He had not reported Zhuge's origins, which meant that this person was just an ordinary scholar. Mister's divination skills can be said to be wondrous. You actually knew that I would come and sent a young boy to wait for me on the road. I won't hide it from you, but I am familiar with the immortal Tao. Those who can predict this matter must be old fogies of the immortal Tao, Gu Qinsha said truthfully. There is another explanation for this. Zhuge waved his feather fan. Your Highness has been searching the Langzhou for half a year. Are you looking for the reincarnated Xing Chen? You even know about this? Gu Qinsha's gaze deepened, and he suddenly smiled. So you're the reincarnated Xing Chen. No wonder you have such remarkable abilities. May I ask which star you're the reincarnated from? Back in the Wuzhou Prefecture, the manservant had activated the mysteries of the reincarnated martial star. Many experts had discovered and fought over him, almost losing his life. But now, if Zhuge, who was dressed in white and had a feather fan, was a reincarnated Xing Chun, yet he did not move at all, then his strength was far above that of the martial star's reincarnated manservant. What would happen if I were the reincarnated Xing Chun? Zhuge smiled. You're a great genius, sir. Gu Qinsha looked around. Although you come from a well-to-do family, you're still far from the level of some rich country gentleman. You must have been ordinary in the past. After obtaining the mysteries of the reincarnated Xing Chun and gaining incredible arts, you can still live in poverty and maintain your purity. That's rare. I too would like to leave my mountain and do great things. Zhuge waved his feather fan. But when you look at the world, the people are at peace and prosperity. There's no one worthy of my support. His words were very magnanimous. Gu Qinsha's eyes shone brightly as he looked over. It was as if he wanted to see Zhuge clearly. However, all he could see was a sea of stars. He could not see him clearly at all. Sir Zhuge, I'm afraid you're not the reincarnated Xing Chun. Gu Qinsha had picked up on some clues. That's why you're so mysterious. I'm the Lord of 7 Stars. Zhuge didn't try to hide anything. In the 16th year of the heavenly talisman, the stars fell. Heaven and earth trembled, and a black aura swallowed up the sun. 7 of them landed on my body, and I immediately gained enlightenment. Over the past year, I've unwittingly gained enlightenment of all sorts of profound mysteries. Lord of 7 Stars. Gu Qinsha was so shocked he shot to his feet. The Lord of 7 Stars was like Fa Wuxian, Wenhong, a true natural-born saint. People like that could only be encountered by chance, not sought out. If Zhuge really was the Lord of 7 Stars, then it wouldn't be strange for him to be able to scheme like this. To this day, Gu Qinsha still doubted whether or not it was true. The Lord of 7 Stars was far more powerful than the martial song star's reincarnated manservant. There was no way a bunch of old-timers could divine her. By the time the Lord of 7 Stars was born, she would have already made a name for herself. Sir Zhuge, you're actually the Lord of 7 Stars. That means you're a natural-born saint. Gu Qinsha took the opportunity to bow. Our calming immortal department is in need of talented people. I wouldn't dare to send you out on a mission, but I'd like to invite you to assist us as an honored guest. What do you say? As soon as Zhuge revealed his identity, Gu Qinsha immediately tried to recruit him. If he could recruit this person, the calming immortal department strength would increase tenfold. After all, among the 72 profound gates of the immortal Tao, no natural-born saint had ever appeared. Gu Qinsha knew that there were only 3 natural-born saints. The first was Fa Wuxian, the second was Wenhong, and the third was the Black-Yellow Dragon Emperor. And now, Zhuge, the Lord of 7 Stars, had appeared. Actually, the calming immortal department's foundation was shallow, and they needed to recruit talented people. Presumably, Zhuge had been waiting for him for some reason. Your Highness, what do you think of magical techniques? What are natural-born magical techniques good for? Heaven and earth have Taos, and life and death are decreed by fate. Cultivating magical techniques is a defiance of the heavens. Mortals cultivate spells and use their supernatural powers to fight against the way of heaven. If that's the case, why did the way of heaven give birth to spells? Zhuge did not accept Gu Qinsha's invitation. When Gu Qinsha heard this, he knew that Zhuge was inquiring about his ideals and whether or not they were worth assisting. People like that couldn't be suppressed by force. The only way to recruit them was by agreeing with their ideals. Natural-born magical techniques can make up for deficiencies. Humans cultivate magical techniques to harmonize yin and yang, to pacify chaos and eradicate devils. Gu Qinsha's voice was very calm. My Tao is the art of the common people mending the heavens. When the heavenly Tao is lacking, the common people can make up for it. There is nothing perfect between heaven and earth, not even the great Tao. Chapter 270. The heavenly Tao is lacking, and the common people need to make up for it. Hearing Gu Qinsha's reply, Zhuge Ye's expression became serious. So this is what you are comprehending. The heavenly Tao is not complete, but it still wants to advance and reach a whole new realm. As such, it created spells to help the common people cultivate and become stronger, in hopes that it can reach a complete realm. That's right. Gu Qinsha nodded. Thank you. Zhuge Ye cupped his hands. Your Highness is indeed extraordinary. Being able to comprehend it yourself has helped me resolve many of my doubts. My second question is the heavenly heart good or evil? If the heavenly heart is evil, then why has evil always been unable to defeat good? Even if there are monstrous demons stirring up chaos in the world, they will be suppressed and the world will always be at peace. Otherwise, the world will already be a kingdom of demons. However, if the heavenly heart is good, then the world will never be at peace and the common people will not be able to live in peace. What is the reason for this? The heavenly heart is originally without a heart. Gu Qinsha thought about it carefully before replying. Yin and yang circulate endlessly. Occasionally, there will be a loss of balance and it will cause a calamity. We all cultivate to establish our hearts for the heavenly heart. If there is a day when the heavenly heart is our heart, then with a single thought, we will be able to create the universe and control all things. Very well. Zhuge Ye asked again. Since ancient times, living beings have always fought and killed each other. Is it because of survival, or is it because of one's nature? It is because all living beings have the same heart. All living beings have spirituality and can cultivate. As long as they are skilled in cultivation, they can absorb spiritual energy and do not need to eat blood. When people fight and kill each other, it is because their ideals and hearts do not match. We seek world peace, and that is to establish our hearts for the heavenly heart. All living beings are of one heart, and all sins will be eliminated. There will be no more disputes. Gu Qinsha had his own path, so he spoke with assurance. Good. Your Highness was actually able to answer all of my 3 questions of heaven and earth. Zhuge Ye laughed uproariously. Although I've been in seclusion, I know a little about the general situation of the world. Currently, the heavenly talisman sovereign is in closed-door seclusion. The Wu clan is in the imperial court. The calming immortal bureau is standing on equal footing. Gu Tanjian has the support of a mysterious power behind him, stirring up a storm. The Great Might dynasty is like a tiger eyeing its prey, and although the barbarians have retreated to the depths of the desolate mountains, their vitality hasn't been damaged. The barbarian sage is still around, and the immortal Tao is stirring. All that's missing is a catalyst. Mister, you're very insightful. Gu Qinsha nodded. That's why I've been searching for sages to maintain the situation. Mister, do you have the heart to save us? The determination to save the world from disaster? If there is, please lend my Calming Immortal department a hand. Your Calming Immortal sector truly is wholeheartedly working for the people. There isn't any falsehood. This is something I can see clearly as well. Collecting taxes from the Immortal Tao, transferring them into the National Treasury, using the National Treasury to subsidize the Imperial Court's finances, constructing schools everywhere. This is a great plan that will last for 1,000 years. Great Emperor Heavenly Talisman's policies are truly admirable. Zhuge Ye sighed. However, the Calming Immortal Department's actions have offended the Immortal Tao. Great Emperor Heavenly Talisman is currently in seclusion, so the Immortal Tao won't dare to make a move. But if anything happens to him, the Immortal Tao will immediately strike like a bolt of lightning and exterminate the Calming Immortal Department. If the nest is overturned, how can the eggs remain intact? If Great Emperor Heavenly Talisman is still here, then there's no need for my assistance, and the world will be at peace. But if he isn't here, then going to the Calming Immortal Department is no different from throwing an egg at a rock. Although I'm the Lord of 7 stars, going against the entire Immortal Tao is like throwing an egg against a rock. I hope your Highness can understand. Zhuge Ye's words were filled with sincerity. If Great Emperor Heavenly Talisman was still here, there was no need for the Calming Immortal Department, and the world would be at peace. If Great Emperor Heavenly Talisman wasn't here, then the calming immortal department would immediately be exterminated by the immortal Tao. There would be no chance of survival. From a certain point of view, Gu Chen's decision to drag Zhuge Ye into the calming immortal department was the same as sending him to his death. Gu Chensha also knew that not even a true sage could contend against the entire immortal Tao. The immortal Tao's resources were unparalleled, and that wasn't even mentioning the 3 legendary celestials. Those 3 celestials had once been the masters of the Son of Heaven, and not even sages could contend against them. Ha ha! Gu Chensha began to laugh. As long as I'm righteous, I'll die 9 times without regret. If I don't fight for my righteousness, then what's the point of living 1,000 years in vain? Furthermore, the more difficult my cultivation is, the more I have to face it head-on. That's the only way to show the true colors of man. To tell the truth, with my own cultivation, I could live a carefree and unfettered life, regardless of the world's affairs. But my heart belongs to the world. For the sake of these beautiful mountains and rivers, what harm is there in dying? At this moment, Gu Chensha was thinking the same thing. Even if Zhuge Ye was the Lord of 7 stars, if he didn't have this sort of breadth of mind, Gu Chensha would look down on him. If a person set their mind to something, there was nothing they couldn't accomplish. As of this moment, Meng Hao was beginning to understand what Wen Hong had referred to as outliers. Exactly how had those people broken through the limits of latent talent and cultivated to such a high level? The legendary outliers didn't care about latent talent at all. They cut their way through thistles and thorns, triumphantly advancing. Even the most foolish of fools could cultivate to a level that surpassed the legion of gods. Your Highness, you truly have lofty ambitions. Such heroism and generosity. You're quite the character. Zhuge Ye clapped his hands. I've long since heard that 4 years ago, Your Highness, you were playing the fool in the palace. Now you're a figure whose power shakes the world. I'm very curious about your exploits, and that's why I wanted to meet you. Today, I can see that you're truly extraordinary. You actually answer my 3 questions of heaven and earth. The Immortal Pacification Department is dangerous, but once you join, you'll accomplish many things. If you succeed in pacifying the immortals, and have the immortal Tao take responsibility for the common people, then we'll have truly stabilized the yin and yang of heaven and earth. That's right. When Gu Chensha heard Zhuge Ye's words, it seemed that he wanted to join the Immortal Pacification Department. He couldn't help but be overjoyed. Mr. Zhuge was an elementary scholar in the past, so you must know that there was a long period in history when the gentry didn't have to pay taxes to serve in the military. As a result, the annexation of land became extremely serious, and the imperial court gradually couldn't afford it. The common people had no way of making a living, and the world was thrown into chaos. Later on, an emperor reformed the system and made the gentry pay taxes to serve in the military. As a result, the country prospered and the world was at peace. As for the immortal Tao, it's a class that's thousands of times greater than the gentry. To the heavens and earth, there's only entry and no exit, and there's no feedback. Learning magical arts will only result in fierce competition and will not balance the yin and yang, nor will it save the common people. We have to get this done. This is a challenge to cultivation, but it's also a good thing for the common people. A sharp light flashed in Zhuge Ye's eyes. Since Your Highness says so, I'll give it a try. Many thanks, Mr. Zhuge, for thinking so highly of our Immortal Pacification Department. From this day forward, Mr. Zhuge will be our honored guest. Gu Chensha was overjoyed. With this person's help, the Immortal Pacification Department would most likely be able to suppress Gu Tanjian and Wu Dankong in the future. During this half-year trip to Langzhou, they had found Zhuge Ye, the Lord of 7 stars, without the slightest danger. Gu Chensha felt that this was a flood of good fortune. Perhaps it was because they had lost the heavenly sacrifice talisman, which had brought them great fortune. Zhuge Ye was the Lord of 7 stars. If he hid himself, no one would be able to detect him. For him to take the initiative to meet with Gu Chensha, it wasn't as if he didn't have a plan. It didn't matter if this person was sincere or not. Gu Chunsha treated him with sincerity. He would rather the world betray him than betray them. He had a clear conscience. He believed that sincerity could split metal and stone. When dealing with a person like the Lord of Seven Stars, no amount of scheming or enticement would work. In fact, it might even backfire. It was better to be honest and explain his Tao. If their Taos were different, they wouldn't plot. If their Taos were the same, they could plot. This was a righteous and upright action. No matter what, he couldn't allow this person to stand against the immortal pacification department. Mr. Zhuge, what is your cultivation base like? Asked Guqinsha. I'm ashamed. Although I'm the Lord of Seven Stars, and I can comprehend celestial phenomena, calculate the universe, and divine the future, I've never had a master, nor have I received any profound cultivation techniques. During the past year, I've kept my identity and name a secret. Instead, I've studied the Imperial Court's Heavenly Talisman Canon, as well as the many martial arts techniques published in the National Fortune Gazette. I've benefited greatly, and I've reached the 7th Tao Realm Transformation. What? You can reach the 7th Tao Realm Transformation just by cultivating the Heavenly Talisman Canon and the National Fortune Gazette? Gu Qinsha found this inconceivable. The Heavenly Talisman Canon was the foundation of the Imperial Court's engraving. It contained a collection of history, local customs, martial arts, astronomy, geography, mountains, and rivers. Naturally, there were many martial arts recorded within, but most of them were incomplete. If a person wanted to cultivate according to the book, that would be impossible. The National Fortune Gazette's martial arts were used by Gu Tanjian to attract the attention of the world. Some of them were real, but they couldn't be used to cultivate to a high level. However, Zhuge had managed to deduce many of the essentials of the martial arts. Practicing them on his own, he was like a hot knife through butter. He had reached the 7th Tao Realm Transformation. That was simply shocking. But then again, he was the Lord of Seven Stars. That wasn't all that surprising. Actually, even someone born with the talent to become a saint needed a good environment to cultivate, a good master to guide them, and large amounts of resources. Otherwise, their progress would be slow. Gu Qinsha was starting to understand Zhuge's difficulties. He had originally been a scholar, but now he had suddenly become the reincarnation of the Lord of Seven Stars. This was a joyous occasion, but it was also a source of calamity. If others found out, he might not even be able to protect himself. He wasn't willing to enter an immortal Tao sect. Who knew what would happen inside? If an ambitious old man wanted to refine him, there was nothing he could do to stop him. During this past year, he had definitely been in hiding, secretly calculating the world situation. He wanted to find a power he could rely on to help him grow. Even an inborn saint like the Lord of Seven Stars could die prematurely before they reached their full potential. Now that the world had changed, even someone with great fortune might not be able to live a smooth life. Putting himself in Zhuge's shoes, he had to find a reliable power to support him and develop quickly. After thinking about it, he could only rely on the calming immortal agency. Not only did they have many resources, but they also didn't have any particularly powerful and unfathomable old men. Zhuge could take control of his own fate and seek out opportunities. Furthermore, he had observed the world's situation and analyzed it in detail. Only the calming immortal agency was trustworthy. In recent years, the people and affairs of the calming immortal agency had been filled with righteousness. Now that he understood Zhuge's thoughts, Gu Qinsha knew exactly what to do next. His latent talent was that of a peerless genius, and his cultivation base was profound. He could guess at many things. "These two children of mine," said Zhuge, clasping his hands. "When the stars descended, they fell into my body. They were infected with my aura, and thus became geniuses. Would the calming immortal agency be willing to help them?" "I couldn't ask for more," said Gu Qinsha politely. He was an open and above-board person, and naturally wouldn't refuse such a wonderful offer. Chapter 271. "So, Mr. Zhuge has a tribulation like this," said Gu Qinsha, suddenly enlightened. "The Lord of Seven Stars had been chosen by the heavens to descend upon the world, but she was also faced with countless tribulations. The moment the profundities of the seven stars fused into her body and fused with her soul essence, there would definitely be a strange sign. Countless old-timers would instantly realize that she was facing the same fate as the reincarnated servant boy from the martial song star. Guchen Shah had originally assumed that Zhuge Ye had somehow managed to avoid this tribulation. Never could he have imagined that there would be more. Of course, when he thought about it, it made sense. Everyone had their own tribulations, especially the more tyrannical they were. Although Zhuge Ye was skilled in manipulating the workings of the heavens and could evade calamities, there were some things he couldn't hide from. The reason he had come to find Meng Hao was because he had joined the Celestial Calmness Department, fused the profundities of the seven stars, and become the true Lord of seven stars. Going to the Celestial Calmness Department was the safest option. "I hope you can help me, Your Highness," said Zhuge Ye, rising to his feet and bowing. "Since Mr. Zhuge has joined the Celestial Calmness Department, then you are a member of the Imperial Court. How could Gu Qinsha refuse? This was his duty. However, becoming the Lord of Seven Stars is no small matter. When the time comes, the stars will be shaken, and the strange signs will be enormous. Even the prestige of the Imperial Court won't be able to scare off people with ulterior motives. Mr. Zhuge, please come with me to the Celestial Calmness Department. We'll make some preparations and gather our strength to resist the tribulation." "Thank you very much." Zhuge Ye bowed again. "If I can fuse with the profundities of the seven stars, then I'll be free to do whatever I want. Don't worry, the Celestial Calmness Department has some trump cards that won't let you suffer any losses." Gu Qinsha's body flickered as he unleashed the Dragon Gate. In the blink of an eye, boundless astral energy wrapped around Zhuge Ye and the two boys. "There's no time to lose. I came to the spiritual state to search for the reincarnated star, and now I've found you, Mr. Zhuge. It seems I'm quite fortunate. I'll take you back to the Celestial Calmness Department." "Very well." At this time, Zhuge Ye had already entered the space of the Dragon Gate. He discovered that the inside was constantly changing. It was unfathomably deep, almost like a world of its own. Countless stars and draconic energy flowed continuously. There were also 360 heaven-mending divine generals condensing and breathing in and out. The Buzhou Palace gathered the star power, broke down the energy, and created magical treasures and talismans. With every breath that passed, the space inside the Dragon Gate became more condensed and powerful. "This is unbelievable. Is that Buzhou Palace?" Zhuge Ye asked. "Yes, Buzhou Palace." Gu Qinsha nodded. "Wonderful. This treasure is the palace of the ancient son of Heaven Zhou, and the core of it is the celestial sphere. It operates the celestial cycle constellation, absorbing the power of the stars thousands of times faster than any other expert." Zhuge Ye clapped his hands. "But I heard the rumors that when Hong took this palace. How did it end up in your hands?" Gu Qinsha explained everything in detail. "Mr. Zhuge is the reincarnation of the Lord of Seven Stars. Right now, you lack cultivation techniques. I'll explain Wan Hong's myriad star flying immortal art, the Book of Heavenly Demons' 28 Constellations Fiend Transformation, and the various star techniques of the Buzhou Palace. I'm sure Mr. Zhuge will be able to improve and comprehend something completely new." BZZ. As he spoke, Gu Qinsha used his soul tendrils to condense these techniques into a will, which he sent into Zhuge Ye's sea of consciousness. However, before he could even touch Zhuge Ye's sea of consciousness, he sensed a boundless power surging out from the depths of Zhuge Ye's sea of consciousness. It cut off all attempts to pry into the essence of Zhuge Ye's soul. His own will was instantly devoured by this power. Amazing! Gu Qinsha no longer had any doubts. He now knew that Zhuge Ye's identity as the Lord of Seven Stars wasn't fake. After receiving these techniques, Zhuge Ye fell into deep thought. After a few breaths of time, his entire body began to emit a different aura. "Many thanks, Your Highness." Zhuge Ye laughed. "These techniques Your Highness has imparted to me are all world-shaking techniques. Even if I were to enter the 72 profound gates of the immortal Tao, they would still be considered the highest level. They wouldn't be taught easily. For your highness to impart them all to me without any selfish motives, it shows that you are an upright person. I will definitely join hands with your highness to accomplish great things. In my opinion, Mr. Zhuge will need the help of the Buzhou Palace to quickly increase his cultivation base. Gu Qinsha knew that as the Lord of 7 Stars, Zhuge needed the Buzhou Palace to quickly increase his cultivation base. Zhuge had made the right decision. It could be said that even if Zhuge joined the Black Heaven Earth sect, they wouldn't be able to produce a magical treasure like the Buzhou Palace to help him increase his cultivation base, nor would they be able to impart him with peerless immortal techniques. The Calmness Immortal Bureau was in desperate need of resources. If he joined, he would be able to reap the greatest benefits. Mr. Zhuge, we're here. Gu Qinsha put away the Dragon Gate and landed on the ground. He was already in the Calmness Immortal Bureau. The Dragon Gate was a combination of the 10,000-kilometer soaring cloud banner, the profound sky dragon boat, the vast thousand mirror, and many other primordial treasures. Its speed was so fast that when it was fully activated, it was likely that many of the old-timers wouldn't be able to match up to it. The Buzhou Palace absorbed the power of the stars and accumulated spiritual energy and immortal qi. In the blink of an eye, it could unleash its greatest speed. Other than those old freaks who could pierce through the void and use teleportation, there were very few people who could match Gu Qinsha's speed. Gu Huasha and Lu Baiwei were already in the main hall of the Calmness Immortal Bureau. They'd already received Gu Qinsha's message. As their cultivation grew, they no longer needed the cycle box to send messages. Instead, they used special talismans. If they used the cycle box, the Celestial Designer Institute would know some of their secrets. The Heavenly Talisman Emperor was in seclusion, and some of the old antiques of the Celestial Designer Institute had ambiguous attitudes. They weren't very supportive of the Calmness Immortal Bureau. Now, Lu Baiwei, Gu Qinsha, and the others were very careful to maintain their independence. Mr. Zhuge has joined our Calmness Immortal Bureau. Your presence brings light to our humble dwelling. Lu Baiwei was the first to speak. We've prepared a banquet to welcome you. You're too polite, too polite. Zhuge hurriedly cupped his hands. I'm just a rural scholar who occasionally received the favor of the heavenly stars. My foundation is shallow. I joined the Calmness Immortal Bureau because of Royal Prince Qin's righteousness towards the country and its people. I also have some matters that require the protection of the Calmness Immortal Bureau. Don't say anything, Mr. Zhuge. The fourth waved his hand. In the future, Mr. Zhuge's matters are our Calmness Immortal Bureau's matters. Mr. Zhuge's status in the Calmness Immortal Bureau is transcendent and equal to us. Today's banquet is to let the core members of the Calmness Immortal Bureau get to know Mr. Zhuge. In the future, Mr. Zhuge will be able to command them. You're too polite. Zhuge saw the situation and knew that he had made the right move. In the guest hall were the true core members of the Calmness Immortal Bureau. Long Zifei, Lu Huaiwei, Lu Yu Long Yiyun, Yuhan Lu, Jin Suiwa, Zheng, Lily Zi, Yiming the Green and White Snakes, and the others. At the banquet, everyone had their own table. Pills, jade wine, and so on were placed on it. There were also fruits. The fruits were purple-green immortal peaches. The pills were the heaven-mending pills that the Calmness Immortal Bureau was currently refining. The jade wine was also heaven-mending wine that was refined through a secret method. The Calmness Immortal Bureau also had its own brand. Right now, the people had set up a newspaper called Heaven Mending News. It promoted Gu Qinsha's theory that if the heavenly Tao was lacking, the common people would make up for it. It meant that the Calmness Immortal Bureau was doing the mending of the heavens. It was in line with righteousness, the heavenly Tao, and the hearts of the people. The heaven-mending pill was refined by Gu Qinsha, Lu Baiwei, and the fourth after analyzing many secret methods of refining pills. Not only could it consolidate one's foundation and strengthen one's foundation, but it could also raise one's aptitude. Its effects were even better than the tiger wolf pill. The heaven-mending pill was divided into many grades. The supreme grade heaven-mending pill was even stronger than the dragon-raising pill. Not only could it raise one's aptitude to that of a genius, but it could also expand one's meridians and increase the strength of one's body. One pill could completely transform one's mortal body and bring about endless benefits. During this half a year, although Gu Chensha had been searching for the reincarnated Xing, Chun, and Lang Zhou, he wasn't just sightseeing. He was extremely fast and could also go back and forth between the Calmness Immortal Bureau and take charge of the overall situation. Buzhou Palace itself, with a magic treasure manufacturing factory, and the Dragon Gate could produce the dragon-raising chi that could raise one to the genius realm. Combining the two, one could continuously produce armors, weapons, pills, and other necessities. There was no need to rely on the Celestial Designer Institution. The Celestial Designer Institution had the vigorous Celestial Designer Ghostly God, while Gu Chansha had the heaven-mending Divine General. During this half a year, the Calmness Immortal Bureau started to allocate all kinds of resources for Gu Chansha to refine. Not only did it help him increase his experience in refining magic treasures, but it also helped him create truly useful items. Gu Chansha used these materials to continuously improve the heaven-mending Divine General, causing it to become stronger and stronger in the Dragon Gate. It also participated in the forging of magic treasures and weapons. In this cycle, the overall strength of the Calmness Immortal Bureau became stronger and stronger. Although the Calmness Immortal Bureau has only been established for a few years, it really is full of talents. If we can live for another few decades, we might really be able to compete with the 72 mystical gates of the Immortal Tao. Zhuge looked at the people in the Calmness Immortal Bureau and couldn't help but sigh. This small group of yours is full of vigor, like the sun that has just been born. In the future, you will definitely illuminate the world. Mr. Zhuge, joining our group, will truly illuminate the world. The fourth was also secretly sizing up Zhuge. He had already learned from Gu Chansha that Zhuge was the Lord of 7 stars. At first, he was a bit skeptical, but after a moment's observation, he realized that Zhuge really wasn't simple. Many thanks for thinking so highly of me. Zhuge swept his gaze over everyone, then stood up. I was originally a mountain scholar, but the 7 stars descended by chance. I received the mandate of heaven, and the Calmness Immortal Bureau and I are on good terms. There is no need for you to be so polite. We will all be on the same side in the future. Mr. Zhuge is very forthright. Liu Baiwei asked, what does Mr. Zhuge think about the current situation? During this half a year, although the Wu clan has laid low, they have been accumulating power in secret. It seems like they want to stage a comeback. This is some recent information. The Wu clan has made many strange moves. Would Mr. Zhuge be able to come up with a plan? She was testing Zhuge. She took out a lot of information and showed it to Zhuge. Zhuge didn't waste any time. He flipped through the information one by one. It was all about what Wu Dangkong had done and what the Scenic Martial Chamber of Commerce had done. There was also the recent changes in the Imperial Court. As he read, Zhuge's expression changed. Not good. What's not good? Gu Qinsha asked. Chapter 272. What do you mean? Liu Baiwei also knew that Zhuge's current cultivation was relatively weak. However, as long as he cultivated in the calming immortal department, he would definitely advance by leaps and bounds. Furthermore, Zhuge's wisdom was profound. He could calculate the mysteries of heaven and predict fortune and misfortune. No one present could compare to him. Everyone has their own style. If they encounter a major change, their style will change. Zhuge closed the documents, his eyes flashing with wisdom. Although I live in seclusion, I still care about the affairs of the world and have studied the Imperial Court. Originally, the Wu clan presiding over the Imperial Court was something only a muddle-headed emperor would do. The heavenly talisman emperor surpassed all the emperors and sons of heaven since ancient times. There must be a deeper meaning in doing this. The Wu clan is indeed carrying some sort of heavenly mandate. We have also guessed this. Please analyze it in detail. The fourth wanted to hear Zhuge Ye's analysis. I know a little about the scenic martial commerce. Their style of doing things is more meticulous. However, these reports are much more magnanimous. They even started to give out loans on a large scale. They don't care about bad debts. Apart from that, there are many businesses that don't care about profits and only care about making friends. This kind of method doesn't match with Wu Dankong. Zhuge Ye said, there are many clues. If my guess is correct, then Wu Dankong obtained a large amount of treasures. Furthermore, these treasures are even more valuable than the treasures of Buzhou Palace. That's why he could squander them like this. Otherwise, it means that her strength has increased by a large margin. Could it be? Suddenly, Gu Chansha and Lu Baiwa looked at each other. They both felt that there was some kind of bad omen. However, I can't be sure that I can deduce many things just based on this. We need to observe for a long time. Zhuge Ye said, I fused the 7-star profound meaning into my body. Not only did my strength increase greatly, but I also obtained supreme wisdom. Do you have any good countermeasures? Go my fief. Gu Chansha thought for a moment. My fief is guarded by the black tortoise. After years of operation, the black tortoise lair is impregnable. We will guard it for you. Even if those old monsters attack, we can resist. There's no time. Once the banquet is over, the 3 of us will stand guard for you. Lu Baiwa said, once you become the true lord of 7 stars, our calming immortal bureau will have a natural saint. I'll leave this matter to the 3 division heads. Zhuge Ye bowed. During the banquet, Jin Suebo was most interested in Zhuge Ye. He asked many questions, and Zhuge Ye answered all of them calmly. He even offered some opinions regarding the immortal Tao. Jin Suebo nodded repeatedly. He knew that this man really lived up to his reputation as the Lord of 7 Stars. After the banquet, Lu Baiwa said to Gu Chansha, Chansha, bring Mr. Zhuge to his fief first. I'll give some instructions to the Tranquil Immortal Bureau. I'll be right back. That's fine. Gu Chansha unfurled the dragon gate, wrapped around Zhuge Ye, and then vanished. This level of skill was completely unimaginable. Suebo, what do you think of Zhuge Ye? Lu Baiwa asked Jin Suebo. Does he have any flaws? Is he the Lord of 7 Stars? Is he truly loyal to our calming immortal bureau? Or is he plotting something else? For someone like him to join our calming immortal bureau, even if we're blessed with karmic luck, we can't rest easy. Jin Suebo now held great authority in contacting the immortal Tao. He also organized a large group of immortal Tao troops, with him as the center communicating with each other. Hundreds of second- and third-rate sects gathered together. It was also an extremely terrifying force. Lu Baiwa was also keeping an eye on him. She could tell that he had no ulterior motives and was truly working for the calming immortal bureau. Gradually, she began to rely on him. She couldn't let him down. The Lord of 7 Stars is no small matter. She's a natural-born saint like Fa Wuxian. Someone like her can only be found by chance. Prince Chun searched the Langzhou for half a year without any results, only to run into this person in the wilderness. Clearly, this person came looking for him. Jin Suebo was a wise man with vast experience. That's something worth considering. Based on this person's standpoint, it's true that he can only join our calming immortal bureau in order to reap the greatest benefits. If he joins another profound sect and runs into someone with ulterior motives, he might not even be able to keep his life. Add to that the fact that he needs the protection of a faction to avoid calamity, and all signs point to the fact that he's walking the right path. Just now, during the banquet, I casually asked him about a few things, and he gave me a watertight answer. But it's precisely because things are going so smoothly that I'm starting to get suspicious. I also think things are going too smoothly. The fourth frowned. Picking up a natural-born saint on the road and joining him seems like child's play. 19th brother is meticulous and has a plan. Chansha's a good match, said Lu Baiwa. Lu Baiwa said, he did it with an open heart and behavior. Let's think about whether we can tolerate it or not. If we meet someone like Zhuge Ye, we have to trust him wholeheartedly in order to recruit him. If we are on guard and overly suspicious, it will only lead to the disappointment of those who are ambitious. Even so, for the sake of the safety of the calming Immortal Bureau and the common people, we have to be on our guard. The fourth thought of a few things in history. Because the ruler was overly suspicious, it led to disloyalty and dissension. Now it seemed that being a ruler was truly difficult. You had to be on guard against others, but you also couldn't let people be bitterly disappointed. The measure of propriety needed to be meticulous. Right now, Zhuge has expressed his allegiance to us, said Jean Suebois. Even if it's fake, we can't let him be bitterly disappointed. We can't push this person to the opposite side of us. Open and above board, with the air of a ruler. Liu Baiwe nodded. Chencha's way of doing things is correct. If our calming Immortal Bureau wants to do something big, we can accommodate natural-born saints. Of course, it's necessary to be on guard. If such a person grows up and wants to cause trouble, I'm afraid that our calming Immortal Bureau will have a chance to be destroyed. Moreover, the stars from the heavens descended to the mortal world because they saw that the Emperor's dynasty was too large, so they came down to disturb the universe. This is also why I'm on guard. Jean Suebois spoke his mind. Even if Zhuge wants to rely on our calming Immortal Bureau, his mission is to resist the Emperor, resist the Imperial Court, throw the world into chaos, and assist the new Son of Heaven to come into being. Under the flow of fate, it's very possible that he'll walk to the opposite side of us in the future due to various coincidences. That's not entirely impossible. As Liu Baiwe deliberated, the words "man conquers heaven," written by the heavenly talisman emperor, suddenly flashed through her mind. She immediately had an idea. Heaven's will is not enough to spare us. If we follow the emperor and establish an unshakable foundation, then we can naturally reverse our fate. What do you all think? The fourth nodded, then turned to the other people present. This subordinate feels that we should treat him with sincerity, Long Zifei said. There shouldn't be any doubt that Zhuge is the Lord of 7 stars. If he wants to rely on us, then we could buy horse bones with 1,000 pieces of gold. Let's see if he'll throw in peaches and plums and return the favor. I agree, Liu Huayu agreed. This person is no small matter. If we use him well, even if it's just a year or two, our calming Immortal Bureau will rise by leaps and bounds. That's good. Liu Baiwe also came up with a plan. All of you, work hard and cultivate. Don't be negligent. Yes, everyone replied in unison. The overall strength of the calming Immortal Bureau had risen rapidly in this half a year. Under the guidance of Liu Baiwe and the fourth, Gu Chansha, Long Zifei had obtained many resources and improved by leaps and bounds. He was now wearing a battle robe embroidered with the sun, moon, and stars, as well as the land and mountains. It looked majestic and picturesque. This was the heaven-mending battle robe. With a casual grab, a heavenly halberd with coiling dragons appeared in his hand. With a single strike, ghosts and gods bowed their heads. Long Zifei's current martial arts realm had reached the 12th transformation of the Tao realm, soul seizing. He had also comprehended a martial art. He and Jean Suebois had mediated many conflicts in the immortal Tao. Even those with higher cultivation realms than him had been defeated. He had gained a great reputation in the immortal Tao. Liu Huayue's cultivation wasn't below Long Zifei's, and he had rich battle experience. Liu Yu and the other 4 had also reached the 11th transformation of the Tao realm, soul tendrils. Their 5 swords had already turned into runes, merging with their consciousness and moving according to their will. When the 5 of them worked together, they were the strongest. During this half a year, they followed Jean Suebois to subdue an evil sect. That person was a demon at the 14th transformation of the Tao realm. But when the 5 of them worked together, they turned into a streak of sword light that was dozens of miles long. In just one move, they killed the demon on the spot. As for Long Yiyun and Jade Frost Dew, they had long swallowed the dragon-raising pill and turned into a genius. Now, they had the Tao Realm Glass Body 9 transformation, which was enough to suppress the situation. It was enough for them to do business and deal with the celestial Tao. So, Just as Lu Baiwe, the fourth, and the others were discussing, Gu Chunsha brought Zhuge to his own land. This land had been totally changed, and it wasn't like before. The Xuanwu Ocean Formation that Celestial Craft Institute had built had been removed and replaced by the Xuanwu Star Fixing Formation. This was set up by the Xuanwu Baby himself. The Xuanwu Baby had been cultivating hard recently. It had learned many techniques from the Sky Monster book and had benefited a lot. When the Sky Monster book was written, it had a senior too. Green Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, and Xuanwu Saint Beast were the pinnacle of the monster race. During these days, it felt like a calamity was about to arrive, so it focused on building its nest. Moreover, Lu Baiwa passed the Sky Monster book to it for it to swallow and use its own Xuanwu God power to unlock some of the mysteries of the book. Apart from that, it was also in charge of teaching the two snakes. Under the guidance of the Black Tortoise Baby, the green and white snake's cultivation increased by more than just a little. Mr. Zhuge, what do you think about my land? Gu Qinsha said to Zhuge. Chapter 273. This is human nature. The safety of a nation and the world is at stake here, so we have to keep it a secret. If the ruler doesn't keep it a secret, he will lose his subject, and if the subject doesn't keep it a secret, he will lose his chastity. Gu Qinsha was very calm. I hope Mr. can understand this. This is a good thing. Zhuge sighed in admiration and said, everyone in the Celestial Tranquility Division is a dragon and phoenix among men. You do things with righteousness in your heart and are open-minded. You also respect the small and are cautious. Mister, you are broad-minded enough to think this way. Gu Qinsha brought Zhuge to tour the fief. There was no castle in the fief, and in its place was a huge formation. Layers of palaces were built in the formation, and these palaces were all condensed from jade stones. After Gu Qinsha recruited the precious Jade Nation, there was an endless supply of jade stones sent to his fief to build the formation and strengthen the foundation. At this moment, there were many tall towers around the fief, and on top of the towers, there was a huge jade ball that was constantly absorbing the power of the stars in the sky. In the depths of the ground, spiritual chi and immortal chi were surging, and there was an endless amount of divine might brewing. Zhuge looked around for a long time and couldn't help but praise. This place has become an immortal's cave, and it's hard for the demons to invade. The Imperial Court's prestige is still here. Gu Qinsha said, the demons, immortal sects, demon races, and barbarians don't dare to mess around. This is a good time for Mr. to strengthen the foundation. The two came to the center of the palace. It was an altar. There was a transparent crystal dome above the altar, and below it was a deep, bottomless cave. The stars shone down, and the light condensed through the dome, forming a starlight waterfall that fell into the depths of the cave. This was the method of the Black Tortoise. The entire fief corresponded with the 7 mansions of the Black Tortoise, and the divine power of the stars descended, combining with the immortal chi and spiritual chi to transform the earth veins, turning this place into a true nest of sacred beasts and an immortal's cave. The fief was no longer the same as before. Even an expert like K. Ing would have a hard time barging in. The last time K. Ing barged in, she almost wiped out the entire Department of Calmness. Gu Qinsha learned from this painful experience and transformed the fief again. It took almost a year for the transformation to be completed. Baby Xuanwu, come out. Gu Qinsha turned his soul into a tentacle and sent it into the cave. Rumble. A black tortoise baby the size of a thumb and the size of a beetle surged out from a ball of starlight. Then, its body moved slightly and turned into the size of a puppy. This person you brought? The black tortoise baby wanted to say something, but when it saw Zhuge, it immediately let out a piercing light. 1 star, 2 stars, 7 stars. This was the Lord of 7 stars. TSK, TSK. Father, where did you kidnap such a powerful person? She's actually the Lord of 7 stars? The Lord of 7 stars' latent talent was comparable to the Black Tortoise's, so it was only natural that the Black Tortoise would value her highly. How's your comprehension of the Heavenly Demon Book going? Asked Guchen Shah. The black tortoise baby opened its mouth and spat out the Heavenly Demon Book. Almost there. My primordial spirit can already enter the Devil Soul Kingdom and fight with those Devil Souls. I can also easily retreat. Most of the weaker Devil Souls in the Devil Soul Kingdom have been devoured by me. There are only a few stronger Devil Souls that I can't devour, but I've gained quite a bit from fighting with my primordial spirit. You devoured many Devil Souls? Gu Chensha looked at the black tortoise baby repeatedly. He grabbed it and patted it twice. What level is your strength now? Roughly equivalent to the 5 elements at the 21st transformation of the Tao realm, said the black tortoise baby. I've been cultivating the many transformations in the Heavenly Demon Book these past few days. I can already transform the essence of water and the 5 elements. As it spoke, its body was no longer the black tortoise. Instead, it had transformed into a vermilion bird. The 19th transformation of the Tao realm allowed one's physical body to be as big as a mountain or as small as a speck of dust. As for the 20th transformation, it allowed one's physical body to turn into an energy flow and scatter as one wished. The 21st transformation of the 5 elements meant that one's physical body could turn into flames, water, wood, metal, and earth. The extreme transformation of the 5 elements meant that one could pretty much communicate with heaven and earth at such a realm. When the black tortoise baby reached such a realm, it was really terrifying. Moreover, it was a black tortoise saint beast. At the same realm, it was pretty much invincible. Even natural saints couldn't do anything to it. For example, when Fa Wuxian cultivated to the 21st transformation, he could only fight on the same level as the black tortoise. If a peerless genius managed to cultivate the 21 transformations, they would be beaten to a pulp by the black tortoise baby in battle. At such a realm, some old antiques in the celestial path couldn't do anything to the black tortoise baby. The reason why the black tortoise baby grew so quickly was because it had merged with Gu Chinch's Sun Moon Dragon blood, allowing its Saint Beast bloodline to improve. It can actually transform the essence of water into the essence of fire. Zhu Biyu was shocked. It was true that it was difficult for cultivators of the immortal Tao to cultivate to the 5 elements, but not as difficult as it was for Saint Beasts. It had to be said that the black tortoise was formed from the magical laws of water. To transform it into the magical laws of fire required countless complex transformations and energy. That was why Saint Beast spent thousands of years slowly growing stronger. Saint Beasts lived much longer than humans, so they could endure it for a long time. Stop playing around. Gu Qinsha hurriedly said, "What's happening right now is good for you. Mr. Zhuge is going to completely merge his soul with the mysteries of the 7 stars and become the true Lord of 7 stars. We'll stand guard for him. When he does, the 7 stars will shine brightly, and the power of the stars will be as dense as what we've accumulated over 100 years. The degree to which the Lord of 7 stars is fusing is no small matter," said the black tortoise. "It'll definitely attract a lot of attention, and some old antiques will definitely make a move. Will we be able to hold out? That'll depend on our luck." Gu Qinsha raised his head and saw Lu Baiwei. His 4th brother had arrived as well. "I have a trump card as well. It's a death immunity talisman my father left me. As long as I use it, even the gods can't do anything to me. Death exemption talismans are extremely precious. It's best not to use them," said Jubia. "If I use them, I'll owe you all a huge favor. Mister, since you've joined the Calming Immortal Agency, you're one of us. We're like-minded, so there's no need to bicker." Lu Baiwei looked around. "Since you're going to merge with the mysteries of the 7 stars and become the true Lord of 7 stars, we need to prepare our fiefdom well. We'll have 3 months to gather the power of the stars and cultivate a few powerful magical techniques. Some powerful magical techniques were so powerful that they had to be prepared for days or even months. Only then would they be earth-shattering. For example, if Gu Chansha were to use the power of the Buzhou Palace and the Dragon's Gate to absorb the essence of the sun and moon and prepare for the sun-moon annihilation, then even K-ing-er would be killed. The longer the preparation time, the more powerful the sun-moon annihilation would be. Guchinch's sun-moon annihilation already had a very strong explosive power, but if he started preparing now, with every sun-moon cycle, which was a day's time, the power of the sun-moon annihilation would double. Even without the heavenly sacrifice decree, he could still use the sun-moon annihilation. In that case, let's start preparing. Liu Baiwei said, Mr. Zhuge, please stay here and cultivate. Consolidate your cultivation base and increase it as much as possible. I'll have to trouble you all, said Zhuge, bowing again. He knew that success or failure depended on this moment. The group of them began to get busy in the fiefdom. Inside the palace, concubine Ming Hall, Wu Dangkong, was cultivating in secluded meditation. Her cultivation was really deep, and she had reached the Tao realm 19 transformations. She hit it really well and far exceeded Jing Fanqing's. She laid down many restrictions in the secret room that could seal all phenomenons. She waved her hand, causing a crystal ball to appear, within which were countless souls that seemed to have transformed into a specter horde. After such a long time, I have finally collected 360,000 evil souls. They're all barbarians. A smile appeared on Wu Dangkong's face. According to the records, by sacrificing 360,000 evil souls and soul-subduing grass to the heavens, one will be able to obtain the supreme heavenly Tao's blessing and condense one's Yuan Shun, giving it an additional layer of heavenly Tao light. Hong Long. She took out the heavenly sacrifice decree and started. She tossed the crystal ball into the decree and then tossed in the soul-subduing grass and her own blood. The heavenly sacrifice decree appeared in front of her and turned into the sun-moon altar. In just a moment, all the souls were sucked in. Zzz. An extremely bright light landed. Heavenly Tao God light. Merge into the soul. When Wu Dangkong saw this, she was delighted. A power rose up from her brow and absorbed the light. But this light was originally a circle of light and was in a complete state. But the moment it merged into her soul, half of it disappeared. This meant that only half of the sacrificial power entered her soul, and the other half was nowhere to be seen. What's going on? Why is the heavenly Tao God light I obtained not complete? Only half. Based on the ancient records and the Son of Heaven God sealing technique that I comprehended recently, the heavenly Tao God light is like a full moon. When it enters the soul will become really condensed and strong. Mental energy will increase and one's strength will increase. This is totally different from swallowing evil souls. Wu Dangkong couldn't understand. Tao realm, 13 transformations, demon swallowing ghost, and demon swallowing evil souls to strengthen one's soul. But there was a limit. It was like when a person ate. After eating, they would slowly digest it and turn it into nutrients. As for the heavenly Tao God light, it would directly inject into the soul to expand and purify it, causing the soul's mental energy to rise to the limit. This was like real gold being placed into a flame, and the more it was refined, the purer it became. At the same time, in his own fief, Gu Chansha, who was circulating his stellar energy and drilling it into the ground to carve the sun and moon slaughtering formation, suddenly had a half circle of heavenly Tao divine light appear in the void above his head and sink into his sea of consciousness. Kacha! The depths of his mind gave off a bright light that doubled in size. His mental energy and soul swelled up like a balloon. Chapter 274. Wang. His sea of consciousness had transformed once again. The speed of calculation had increased several times. At this moment, if an expert uses mental power to enter his sea of consciousness, he or she would find that the speed of change in his sea of consciousness could crush everything and control everything. Gu Chansha broke through right away and reached the 12th transformation of Tao realm, soul snatching. In fact, in his sea of consciousness, his thoughts were circulating vigorously, giving birth to traces of pure yang flames. This was the process of the soul changing from pure yin to pure yang. He was about to reach the 13th transformation of Tao realm, demon swallowing and ghost devouring. Only when pure yang flames were born in the depths of the soul would one be able to refine demons and swallow foreign souls. Gu Chansha meditated for a bit, and in the depths of his sea of consciousness, 30,000 copies of himself were born. Each of them was doing different things, constantly deducing their own martial arts, striving for perfection, nimble as they wished. It wasn't strenuous at all. This meant that he had reached the realm where he could do 30,000 things at once. This was a terrifying realm. Even Golden Core, Tao experts like Jing Fanxing and Guva couldn't do 30,000 things at once. This was caused by the sudden heaven Tao God light merging into his consciousness. It caused his consciousness to expand and his mental energy to become stronger. Pure yang flames were born in his soul. Gu Chinch's cultivation went from the peak of the 11th transformation, soul tentacle, to the peak of the 12th transformation, soul stealing. He was just a bit away from the 13th transformation, devil swallowing and ghost devouring. What is going on? Why did the heaven Tao God, light, descend on my body? Gu Qinsha didn't understand what was going on. He just felt that it was really weird. However, he calmed down. The heaven Tao God light is a sacrificial technique. By using 360,000 evil souls and soul-subduing grass, one can obtain the perfect heaven Tao God light. It will cause one's soul to expand and become extremely tough. It will also strengthen one's mental energy. It's very likely that someone obtained the heaven sacrificial talisman and came to offer it, but that talisman was distorted by Father's man conquers heaven. This was a huge windfall. Gu Qinsha was really happy. This meant that in the future, he would be able to get half of the people who obtained the decree. His mental energy had increased tremendously, and his primordial spirit had been permeated by the heavenly Tao divine light. His ability to calculate had increased tremendously, so he immediately knew what was going on. He associated it with Zhuge Ye's prediction and immediately knew that Wu Dangkong might have obtained the heaven's sacrificial talisman. If that's the case, then I have a plan. I'll be in the dark, and Wu Dangkong will be in the light. There's a lot we can use. Gu Chinch's cultivation had increased by a realm, and his mental energy had also increased by several times. Under the use of his strong mental energy, his Xiantian earth energy was compressed and purified, and the common people heaven-mending technique rose by another level. The dragon gate in his body rotated, swallowing and spitting. Many of the secrets of Buzhou Palace were revealed again. A strong mind power was the foundation of everything. Brute force, strength, and divine power. When one reached the highest realm, everything would be the power of God. In other words, one's mental energy would be the master. The stronger one's mental energy was, the more spiritual energy they could absorb and compress. They would also be able to use their innate gang qi more flexibly. They would even be able to transform their flesh and blood. In the end, all cultivators would be using the power of God. Whoever had the strongest mental energy and nascent divinity would emerge victorious. Gu Chinch's sun-moon annihilation had reached an even higher level thanks to the increase in his mental energy. With a flick of his finger, his Xiantian earth energy transformed into a dragon, a star chart, and a light of the sun and moon burrowed deep into the earth. He branded a diagram that absorbed the light of the sun and moon. In order to help Zhuge Ye condense the 7 stars and become the true lord of 7 stars, he and Liu Baiyue, the 4th, had to make ample preparations. Originally, Gu Chansha hadn't been very confident. But now that the Heaven Tao Godlight had suddenly descended and helped him rise by an entire realm, his strength increased dramatically. At the same time, he realized that he was most likely connected to the Heaven Sacrificial Talisman. If he could help Zhuge Ye become the Lord of 7 Stars, then the Celestial Commerce Bureau would have another natural saint. With just a bit more time, they would definitely be able to subjugate all the second and third-rate immortal sects and form an enormous power. As his cultivation increased, The intelligence and cultivation of the 360 divine heaven-mending generals in the depths of the Dragon Gate also increased. Ever since these divine heaven-mending generals had merged with the Azure Dragon Divine Wood, they had surpassed human geniuses of the same level. It looks like I'll be able to break through again soon. Gu Chen's eyes flashed. If I can cultivate to the 14 transformation of the Tao realm, my Yuan spirit will be able to transform my mental energy into nascent divinity power. When the time comes, I'll be able to use my Yuan spirit to activate the Buzhou Palace. Only then will I be able to unleash the true power of the divine heaven-mending generals. Right now, he wasn't creating more divine heaven-mending generals. Instead, he was focusing on upgrading them. 360 divine heaven-mending generals was enough for him to create more of them. Creating more would increase their power, but in the future, upgrading would require even more resources and mental energy. It was better to cultivate the 360 divine heaven-mending generals to a higher level. That way, they would be able to create their own divine heaven-mending generals. Punk. In that instant, a heaven-mending divine general in the depths of the Dragon Gate absorbed enough energy and underwent another transformation. His body swelled up to double in size, and astral energy surged within his body. A vertical eye actually appeared in the depths of his forehead, and then a weapon appeared in his hand. This weapon was a three-pointed, double-edged blade. This blade was formed from the divine heaven-mending general's heaven-mending spirit energy. It was most suitable for the divine heaven-mending general's martial arts and movement techniques. Gu Qinsha sensed the changes in the divine heaven-mending generals and nodded his head. As the divine heaven-mending generals evolved, his strength would increase once more. Just as Gu Qinsha was preparing within the palace, Wu Dangkong was studying the Heaven Sacrifice Talisman once more. Although her cultivation was high, she had never used this talisman before. She could only rely on the ancient records and wasn't sure what was so amazing about this talisman. So, after using the Emperor God sealing technique for a while, Wu Dangkong cultivated the Sun and Moon refining and Sun and Moon transformation. She was only limited to these two moves because she didn't have any Emperor energy. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to become the true Emperor. If I became the Emperor and held power, then I would be the true Emperor. All the luck in the world would be mine. A cold smile appeared on Wu Dangkong's face. It is best if the Heaven Talisman Emperor doesn't come out and dies. Then, along with my cultivation and strength, I will become the true Emperor. All the luck in the world will be gathered on me, and I will be able to exceed any ancient emperor. The current world is thousands of times stronger than any dynasty in the past. Naturally, the emperor energy is also thousands of times thicker. She kept the Heaven Sacrifice Talisman. The restrictions in the palace were all removed. Outside the palace, a few girls were left to guard. All of them were experts, some at Tao Realm Transformation 7, and even some at Tao Realm Transformation 9. Little miss, you are out. A maid knelt down and said, "What has the Calm Celestial Division done recently?" Wu Dangkong asked. "We heard that Gu Qinsha is searching for the person who reincarnated from Xingqian in Lang State, but he hasn't found anything. We have contacted the Sima family in Lang State and hope that they can help, but they don't seem to care. They rejected us and even rejected Gu Tanjian." The maid said, "Should we use some methods?" "No need. The strong dragon can't suppress the local snake." Wu Dangkong said, "The local snake in Lang State is the Sima family. They have an old ancestor who cultivated to the great Tao Golden Core 100 years ago. They do have some luck." "What is the great Tao Golden Core?" The maid said in disdain, "If the Sima family doesn't listen, then we will wipe them out. We will pull out that great Tao Golden Core old ancestor and refine him. We will snatch the Golden Core to refine into treasures. For now, we can't. Those who submit will prosper, and those who oppose will perish." Wu Dangkong waved his hand. "We still need to wait and be patient. Your cultivation is not very high, and you cannot compare to the geniuses of the Calm Celestial Division. The calm celestial division has already become a force to be reckoned with. With every day that passes, their strength increases. It is truly terrifying. How is Gu Tanjian doing? Gu Tanjian has already won over most of the princes, the maid said. The princes have all become geniuses after obtaining his dragon-raising pills. Their cultivation has increased greatly, and their ambitions have grown as well. They have formed a sizable force. How is our cooperation? Wu Dangkong asked again. Our cooperation is still very close, but it is also because our strength has increased. In this half a year, the little miss has given us many rare ancient pills, the maid said. Even Gu Tanjian finds it strange, but the princes have their own agendas. We cannot trust them all. We need to borrow their hands to find the whereabouts of the reincarnated Xing Chun. Wu Dangkong frowned. Ever since the reincarnated martial song star appeared in our Wu province, we were not able to seize it in our territory. Instead, it was Chang Weiyang who obtained it. Later on, there were no reincarnated Xing Chun in this world. How strange. I heard from Gu Tanjian's people that after Chang Weiyang obtained the reincarnated martial song star's manservant, the three heavenly venerables sent decrees to her to hand it over, but she ignored them. This matter caused quite a commotion, but it is rumored that she even made a move. Chang Weiyang's cultivation is extremely terrifying. She is almost at the true sage realm. The maid did her best to share some information. Back then, Chang Yuzhou left the Black Cosmos Gate in anger because the three heavenly venerables were unfair to him. He founded a new sect. Now, Chang Yuzhou's whereabouts are unknown. His daughter controls the Black Cosmos Gate, which is also a difficult bone to chew. Wu Dangkong waved his hand. These are the highest matters of the Black Cosmos Gate, and we cannot pay attention to them. Calming Xian Department is the top priority. Last time, they dared to imprison the stars, which made me lose a lot of face. Only now has it calmed down. During this period of time, I did not dare to make any big moves, lest I was caught and made a fuss. Now that the situation has stabilized, it is time to launch another plan to deal with Calming Xian Department. How to deal with it? Please tell me, the maid said. Go and inform Gu Tanjian's people. I want to discuss with him again, Wu Dangkong said. Chapter 275. Wu Dangkong left the palace. Her cultivation was inconceivable. With a slight movement, she was thousands of miles away, deep in the forest. In the wilderness, the barbarian race was being pushed back while the Yonko-S land was expanding really quickly. Her cultivation had reached the 19th transformation, size manipulation, and she was immeasurable. In the past, the Scenic Martial Merchant Association had only displayed a tenth of it. She was really good at hiding her strength, but the Heavenly Talisman Emperor had placed her in front of the stage. Standing high in the sky, she hid her body and activated the 15th transformation, Heavenly Eye-Hanging Space. Instantly, she could see the entire wilderness within tens of thousands of miles. She was observing the luck of the wilderness. In her eyes, the energy of the people in the sky above the divine continent was boiling, gathering into five-colored clouds that intertwined with one another, turning red like fire, and finally turning golden. This was the Golden Era. In the wilderness outside the pass, as the Yonko people expanded, the barren land, which was filled with vengeful energy and evil energy, was slowly tainted with the aura of gold. I have to say, Gu Taxian is really amazing. He is actually able to suppress so many evil gods of the barbarian race alone. If not, how could the Yonko expand so quickly? The king of evil, Maha God's cultivation, is similar to the three heavenly venerables. The Tun Reba God and Hell Snake God are invincible when they work together. Apart from that, the chaotic Demon Ape God, Three-Eyed Sky Wolf God, Hell Azura God, these gods were all famous in the ancient era. The barbarian saint is comparable to the saints, but they are all sealed in some space and time. While Wu Dangkong was observing the land, she was thinking quickly. To her, the power of the people was important, but the true deciding factor was still the peak power. If not for the Heavenly Talisman Emperor sealing the many evil gods of the barbarian race, and even the main body of the barbarian saint, the Yonko army, would have a hard time advancing. Wu Dankong pondered as he continued watching. Beyond the great stone wall, in the center of the wilderness, was naturally the newly built capital city of the imperial court. It was nearing completion, and it was majestic and magnificent, like a heavenly palace. It was almost done. Unfortunately, the heavenly talisman emperor was still in seclusion, so the relocation of the capital was delayed. All the civil and military officials were waiting for the heavenly talisman emperor to come out of seclusion so that they could offer sacrifices to the heavens and move the capital. The relocation of the capital was a major event. Since ancient times, sacrifices had to be made to the heavens. Otherwise, it would be hard for the scholars, the common people, and the imperial court to justify it. This was already a deep-rooted tradition, and if it wasn't justified, it wouldn't be justified. Let's see how Gu Taxian is going to get around this. Wu Dankong laughed coldly. He then looked at the construction of the fiefdoms of the princes. The princes had been expanding their territories, building their fiefdoms, capturing the barbarians as slaves, and exploiting the resources in the wilderness. All of them had made a fortune and accumulated a lot of strength. But to Wu Dankong, all of this was like trying to put out a cart of firewood with a cup of water. Gu Tanjin's fiefdom is not bad. He captured many barbarian tribes. His methods are also impressive. He doesn't want the barbarians as slaves, but rather refine them into puppets of the devil Tao. Wu Dankong swept his gaze across the fiefdoms one by one, and finally landed on Gu Chincha's fiefdom. At this moment, Gu Chincha's fiefdom was also expanding. It now occupied a radius of a few thousand li, equivalent to a province. At the center of this fiefdom was the Black Tortoise's lair. It was 100 li in radius and was surrounded by purple mountains. These mountains were like the shell of a tortoise, with 9 sides, reflecting the stars in the sky. At every moment, the power of the stars from the 9 heavenly layers would descend into the mountains, forming a dragon in the depths of the earth veins. Outside the Black Tortoise's lair was the city, built according to the 5 elements of metal, wood, water, and fire. The liveliness was no less than that of the capital. This fiefdom's lair has already matured, gathering the power of the stars from the 9 heavenly layers, layers upon layers of grand formations, and the Black Tortoise sacred beast breathing in and out day and night. Even with my cultivation, I can't sneak inside. Wu Dankong's expression was solemn, and then killing intent appeared. The people Gu Taxian really cares about are Lu Baiwe, Gu Chunsha, and Gu Huasha. I'm just someone he's using. But how can I be used so easily? She landed on a mountain peak, burned a talisman, and then waited quietly. About 2 hours later, a figure arrived at the mountain peak at lightning speed and cupped his hand slightly. Jean Suebwa greets concubine Ming. The person who came was actually Jean Suebwa. He was the most capable general of the calming immortal department. Jean Suebwa's importance probably far surpassed that of Long Zifei and the others. It was he who used his previous reputation to contact the second and third-rate immortal Tao powers, gathering them together and providing the calming immortal department with great motivation. Jean Suebwa, have you thought about what I said a few days ago? Do you want to join me? Wu Dankong's tone was very indifferent. Concubine, I, Jean Suebwa, also work for the imperial court, and the calming immortal department treats me so well. If I betray them, won't I become the laughingstock of the world? Jean Suebwa said very seriously, that 7th Prince Gu Fasha also treats you well and save your life. Why did you betray him? Turn around and join the calming immortal department. Wu Dankong laughed. A straightforward person does not resort to insinuations. Jean Suebwa, you're not a loyal person to begin with, and you have a blood feud with the imperial court. The imperial court destroyed the limitless celestial sect, and that Gu Fasha coveted to expand his power. By recruiting you, he was actually planting a seed of disaster for the imperial court. All right, Jean Suebwa, in one sentence, lead the 2nd and 3rd-rate immortal Tao sects of the calming immortal department to betray us and work for me. I will give you enormous benefits. How about it? Enormous benefits? Jean Suebu's expression did not change. What did concubine Ming say? What about the peerless heavenly scripture? Wu Dangkong had a card up his sleeve. The most important treasure of your limitless heavenly sect is the peerless heavenly scripture. This book itself is equivalent to a god and is equally famous as the heavenly demon book and the eternal heavenly scripture. Not to mention the heaven-grade cultivation method. The book can transform into the peerless realm after opening, forming its own space that can attack and defend. You know the whereabouts of the peerless heavenly scripture? Or is the peerless heavenly scripture in your hands? Impossible. If it was in your hands, your power would increase by 100-fold, and you would not take it out to exchange for my allegiance. I, Jean Suebu, have some self-awareness. Although I have some ability, it is impossible for me to compare to this book. Jean Suebu's expression fluctuated. I know the whereabouts of the peerless heavenly scripture, and I can tell you. How about it? I can also help you obtain the peerless heavenly scripture. Wu Dangkong seemed to know many secrets. Many thanks, concubine. Jean Suebu cupped his hands again. However, I will search for the peerless heavenly scripture myself. There is no need for concubine to worry. So you're saying that you are refusing my invitation? Are you not afraid that I will kill you? Wu Dangkong's tone was filled with killing intent. As a minister of the imperial court, concubine does not have the authority to kill officials of the imperial court. Moreover, even if the officials of the Celestial Pacification Bureau are appointed or dismissed, only His Majesty and the bureau chief can do so. The upper study room does not have such authority. Jean Suebu said, "Let me admonish concubine here. Now that the imperial court has established its laws, there are rules for doing things. Under order, no one can act recklessly." Jean Suebu, it seems like you really want to become a member of the imperial court? Have you forgotten the hatred of the limitless heavenly sex annihilation? Wu Dangkong took 2 steps forward, his towering aura pressuring Suebu. Jean Suebu did not move an inch. Concubine is wise. What the world needs is not the limitless heavenly sect, but order. In Suebu's view, the people of the devil path killing each other is chaos. In the immortal path, the schemes and plots are also chaos. There is no difference between immortals and devils. Only the current imperial court has established order. This is in line with the general trend of the future. Ignorant view. Wu Dangkong smiled coldly. The current imperial court and the heavenly talisman emperor have already been abandoned by the heavenly Tao. You should be very clear about this point. The heavenly Tao is the current heavenly Tao. The heavenly Tao established by the heavenly talisman emperor is the future heavenly Tao. Changing the heavenly heart would mean being abandoned by the old heavenly Tao. However, the general trend cannot be reversed. Jean Suebu waved his hand. Who built the future heavenly Tao for? Who can say for sure who the future heavenly heart is? If the heavenly talisman emperor abolished the present heavenly Tao, destroyed the present heavenly heart, established the future heavenly Tao, and established the future heavenly heart, all of you will become the dust of history. No matter how strong your innate techniques are, you will all disappear in the river of time. Oh, Wu Dangkong started. She had never thought of this possibility after hearing Jean Suebu's words. The past heavenly Tao, the past heavenly heart, the present heavenly heart, the future heavenly Tao, the future heavenly heart. However, her killing intent grew even more intense. To think that you, Jean Suebu, are actually such a genius. I treated you as a genius, but now it seems that I have underestimated you by a great margin. Jean Suebu completely ignored Wu Dangkong's killing intent. The heavenly Tao is established for the common people. The heavenly heart is established for the common people. The heavenly Tao is unpredictable. The changes are endless. On this point, the 19th Prince, Gu Chansha, has already comprehended some of it. The 3 department heads of the Calming Immortal Bureau have a bright future ahead of them. Empress, you must not obstruct the common people from changing the heavenly will. I'm not going to waste my breath talking to you. Wu Dangkong had lost his patience as well. Jin Suebua, you are the right-hand man of the Calming Immortal Department. If we cut off this arm of yours, the Calming Immortal Department will no longer have a future in contacting the Immortal Tao. I originally wanted Jing Fanxing and the others to kill you, and the people of the 72 profound gates of the Immortal Tao also hate you to the bone. I gave you a way out. Submit to me, and I can guarantee that you won't die. But now it seems that you really don't want to live. As he spoke, Wu Dangkong spread open his hand, and suddenly, a great formation of runes appeared in all directions, covering a radius of several dozen li. The entire mountain was covered by a kind of spirit formation. It could be said that there was no path to heaven and no door to earth. Jin Suebua, this spirit formation is called the Sacred Martial Demon Refinement Formation. Even if you possess extraordinary abilities, you won't be able to find a way out. I'll give you one last chance right now. Submit to me and work for me. Otherwise, there will only be one outcome for you. Your soul will be destroyed. Wu Dangkong tried to persuade him again. Your Highness, you underestimate me too much. Jin Suebua sighed. I was able to escape the destruction of the limitless celestial sect. Do you think I will be trapped by this puny, sacred, martial demon refinement boundary? As he spoke, he lightly pointed. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Suddenly, the entire sacred martial demon refinement boundary burst into flames. What? Wu Dangkong was shocked. He fiercely made his move and slapped out with his palm. Jin Suebua didn't even look at him, and he struck out with his palm. Rumble. Wu Dangkong was forced back repeatedly, and 5 large stars appeared above Jin Suebua's head, flashing for a moment. Among the 5 large stars, a book vaguely appeared, covering the light of the stars. Lord of 5 Stars, the Peerless Heavenly Tome. Wu Dangkong was finally shocked. So you obtained the Peerless Heavenly Tome long ago, and you're also a star-reincarnated person. Jin Suebua's eyes also lit up. Your Highness, what kind of martial art is this? What kind of treasure does she have? She actually forced me to reveal my true identity. Chapter 276. I can't believe you've hidden yourself so deeply. Wu Dangkong no longer had any desire to kill Jin Suebua. Instead, he calmed down. Jin Suebua, I can't believe you've hidden yourself so deeply. If I had forced you today, you wouldn't have revealed yourself. It looks like Liu Baiwei, Gu Chansha, and Gu Huasha don't even know about your trump card. They thought they could suppress you, but in reality, you were waiting for an opportunity to devour them in one fell swoop. When that time comes, you'll truly be king. You're just like me, with the same wild ambitions. Whatever you say, Jin Suebua suppressed all of the miracles, and the image of the Peerless Scroll vanished. There's one more thing. I didn't obtain the Peerless Scroll. I can only communicate with it. It's currently recuperating in the depths of space-time chaos. The book itself possesses immense power, almost like a god's. I can borrow it. You know far too little about the secrets of the Peerless Scroll. How dare you say you'll obtain it for me? But your abilities are truly unique. It looks like you really did acquire a supreme treasure. During the banquet, Zhuge had guessed that Wu Dangkong had acquired a treasure. Jin Suebua had secretly analyzed the situation. It looks like I can't keep you in check. Wu Dangkong's body suddenly vanished, leaving behind only her voice. But now that your identity as the Lord of 5 Stars has been exposed, I'm afraid you won't be able to live in peace. I'll definitely subdue you. Jin Suebua, you won't be able to escape me. This concubine Ming is getting more and more unfathomable. I used to be able to see through some of her actions. Her recent actions are unfathomable. Just now, when she struck out with her palm, it was like the sun and moon in the sky, as vast as the will of the heavens. The 5 stars in my body were activated by her. Actually, they aren't my own. I set up a secret technique long ago, and on the day the stars descended, I defied the heavens and stole their fate. I changed their trajectories and placed them in my magic altar. Because my fate doesn't match the 5 stars, I've never been able to fuse them with my nascent divinity. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to reach this level of cultivation. Jean Suebwa sighed. Fortunately, these 5 stars of mine are all rather peaceful. If it was 7 murders, army destroyer, voracious wolf, purple myrtle, death omen, these stars, their power would rush into the heavens. They were able to destroy all ages. I wouldn't be able to suppress a single one. Sighing, he looked up into the starry sky. I wonder if the Lord of 7 stars will be born this time. Zhuge Ye inherited the heavenly mandate of the Lord of 7 stars and came looking for the celestial calmness department. There are countless tribulations in the unseen world. Perhaps he doesn't realize it, but he's bringing calamity upon the celestial calmness department. If the Lord of 7 stars is born, heaven and earth will be connected, and ghosts and gods will invade. The cultivators of the immortal doubt definitely won't allow someone like that to appear. Even if they do, they won't allow them to join the celestial calmness department. When the time comes, I wonder if Lu Baiwe, Gu Chansha, Gu Huasha, and that black tortoise will be able to resist. The way I see it, there's going to be a lot of blood. If they can endure it, then the celestial calmness department will enter a whole new realm. If they can't, then it's going to fall apart. While he was deep in thought, his body also disappeared. That night, the bright moon hung high in the sky. Around the temporary imperial residence in Heaven-Bearing Pass was a ring of official residences for the ministers of the Lord's study, which the imperial court had bestowed upon them. Each official's residence was 3 or 4 acres wide, with 5 entrances and 5 exits and dozens of attendants. Minister Fong Lin of the Lord's study lived alone and didn't need any attendants. His cultivation was successful, and he had long since stepped into the Tao realm. He didn't need to eat the food of mortals, so there wasn't even a cook in his residence. His clothes didn't need to be washed, and he could simply use a magical technique to keep himself clean. He was the most unique of the ministers in the imperial court. All ministers had their own families, their own mansions, and their own power. Fong Lin, on the other hand, had nothing. He was a loner and didn't even need a servant. Currently, he held a flagon of alcohol and a wine cup. He sat in his courtyard, facing the bright moon and drinking alone. The bright moon cast his shadow on the ground, and it almost seemed as if it had come to life and was drinking with him. I raise my cup to the bright moon and drink to the 3 of us. Fong Lin let out a long sigh. Your Majesty's poem really does fit the situation. Who in the world can drink with me? How about I drink with you? A voice rang out. When Fong Lin heard this voice, he didn't turn around and didn't show any signs of emotion. Concubine Ming, coming out of the palace late at night to visit the ministers is not in accordance with the imperial court's rules. The imperial court rules. The emperor is in seclusion and has given me full authority to manage everything. I am the ruler. I am a system. Concubine Wu Dankong appeared once again and stood in front of Fong Lin. Mr. Fong, I have always respected your talents and knowledge. I have specially come to visit you today. We are all from the pugilistic world, and yet you seem to have the intention to keep me at arm's length. In terms of talent and knowledge, I am not as good as the emperor. In terms of cultivation, I can't even compare to the emperor's little finger. If Concubine Ming has any problems, just ask the Pope, and everything will be solved. Fong Lin drank the wine in his cup in one gulp. I am sure Mr. Fong knows about the current situation. I am here today to discuss matters of the nation. I am the chief minister of the Lord's study, and Mr. Fong is also one of the ministers. For official matters, I'm sure you won't reject me. Wu Dankong said. Concubine Ming, please speak. Fong Lin turned around. The Celestial Pacification Department has been getting more and more arrogant lately. They have interfered with the affairs of the imperial court, and they have been constantly oppressing the celestial Tao. This has caused the celestial Tao to be filled with complaints, and the officials of the imperial court dare not speak out. How does Mr. Fong think this matter should be handled? Wu Dankong asked. The Celestial Pacification Department was personally established by the emperor. Fong Lin said slowly. Ever since the celestial Tao was established, It has collected taxes from the celestial Tao to supplement the national treasury. The national treasury is full, and the world is at peace. The people no longer suffer from labor, nor do they suffer from hunger or cold. Just this alone makes the Celestial Pacification Department more meritorious than many ancient emperors. As for the Celestial Tao's 72 mystical sects, they have their own divine abilities and techniques. They refuse to obey the orders of the emperor, disrespect the imperial court, and look down on the people of the world. They refuse to pay taxes, and that is a great crime. The imperial court regulates yin and yang, taking from the surpluses to make up for the deficiencies. The celestial Tao has an excess, and the common people have an insufficiency. They collect taxes from the celestial Tao to make up for the common people, balancing yin and yang, dispelling resentment, and smoothing the flow of heaven and earth. This is the ability of the Celestial Pacification Department to mend the heavens. Concubine Ming, there is no need to speak further about the Celestial Pacification Department. I know that Your Highness and the Celestial Pacification Department have always had conflicts, but this is a private matter. How can it be mixed up with the affairs of the Empire? Mr. Fong, what a long speech. Wu Dangkong frowned. Let me ask you something. Please speak, Your Highness, Fong Lin said calmly. If something bad happens to the Emperor, how should we deal with it? Wu Dangkong asked. That's not something that Your Highness can say. Fong Lin looked at Wu Dangkong fiercely, as if he wanted to see through her veil. The Emperor's Tao has already been established, and it will never disappear. We will continue to walk down this Tao, and even if we die 9 times, we will have no regrets. I can see that Your Highness already has ulterior motives. If you do something that endangers the imperial court, I will not show any mercy. I will definitely kill Your Highness. I hope that Your Highness knows what to do. I have to warn Your Highness that many of your petty actions recently have been seen by us. Because Your Highness was conferred the title by the Emperor, we did not give you a warning. If Your Highness really violates some bottom line, not only you, but even the entire Wu clan, and even those martial sages who have already merged with the laws of the martial Tao, will be captured and annihilated. Wu Dangkong never expected that she would hear such unyielding words when she came to visit Fong Lin today. Her original intention today was to rope this person in. Now, she could already see that other than the heavenly talisman Great Emperor, this person would not recognize anyone else. Moreover, his heart was as hard as stone, unshakable. Why is Your Highness laughing? Fong Lin's tone was very indifferent. I'm laughing at Mr. Fong for being too arrogant. My Wu clan has experienced tens of thousands of years, and our martial sages have merged with the Tao. We have grasped the true essence of the martial Tao. What is Mr. Fong's cultivation? How dare you say such arrogant words? Wu Dangkong was so angry that she laughed. I know Your Highness doesn't believe me. That's because you have only entered the palace for a short time, and you have never seen the Emperor before. You have not been influenced by the Emperor, so you don't know the loyalty of us officials to the Emperor. Do you really think that the Emperor is using force to suppress us? Even the people of the demonic path in the Heavenly Craftsman Institute are loyal to the Emperor. Fong Lin looked at Wu Dangkong as if he was looking at an idiot. Does Your Highness really think that the Emperor let you into the study room to take charge of the situation, just to ruin the imperial court? If Your Highness thinks so, then I'm afraid that your future will be miserable and your clan will be in trouble. Very good, very good. Wu Dangkong had run into a wall on Jean Suebua's side, and now she ran into a wall again. The anger in her heart was hard to suppress. Then let me ask you, I am doing business among the people, managing the Scenic Wu Merchant Association, and I even have a fiancé. Gu Taxian summoned me into the palace with a single imperial edict. Do you think this is a wise ruler? When the Emperor summoned you, did you refuse? I don't think so. Fong Lin seemed to already know that Wu Dangkong would ask this question. If you refused, the Emperor would not make things difficult for you. There were many people who did not accept the imperial edict, and it was the Wu clan's patriarch who agreed. The Emperor's imperial edict increased your patriarch's lifespan by 1,000 years, and your patriarch forced you to marry into the palace. If you're the victim in this matter, then the one who harmed you is the Wu clan. Moreover, the emperor has always been in seclusion and has never seen you. He gave you power, and you gladly took up the position. From the beginning to the end, you did not have any words of resistance. You actually have such deep resentment for this matter. If the emperor forced the Wu clan, then it would be fine. Your patriarch did not have any power to resist the matter of increasing his lifespan. This is only because his will is not firm. Fang Lin, it seems that you are determined to go against me. Wu Dongkong's brows furrowed. Then don't blame me for being ruthless. Your Highness, please do as you please. There is no need to use threatening words. No minister will believe you. Fang Lin did not care at all. That's right. I have to remind your Highness that your Highness has been too ostentatious recently. I'm afraid that some of the concubines in the inner palace will not like it. It is better to be careful. In that case, I have to thank you for the reminder. Wu Dangkong knew that it would be difficult to rope in Fang Lin even if she continued like this. Her heart turned cold. With a slight press, she had already left this place. However, an extremely small talisman had burrowed into Fang Lin's body. Fang Lin looked at her departing figure and gently grabbed the talisman with his hand. Then, a flame appeared on his palm and burned the talisman. Chapter 277. After Wu Dangkong left, Fang Lin was still drinking by himself. The bright moon in the sky was getting more and more resplendent like a white jade silver plate, crystal clear and cold. Why? Is Wu Dangkong trying to rope you in? This woman is stirring up trouble. She might not be successful now, but a 1,000-mile dike can be destroyed by an ant's nest. Furthermore, she is now in control of the central position, and we can't let her continue to stir up trouble. Right at this moment, another woman appeared. It was Duke Meishi Cho. The emperor let her enter the study room, and we can all see that it must be related to the destiny of heaven and earth. Therefore, we can't make any big moves against this woman and just maintain the situation in the imperial court. I have contacted many ministers on this point, and they all have the same opinion as me. As long as the 3 dukes and 8 marquises, the Celestial Tranquility Department, and the Celestial Designer Department aren't in chaos, the imperial court will be as stable as a mountain. Fang Lin seemed to have calculated it long ago. We don't need to make too many plans. We just need to support the Celestial Tranquility Department, Lu Baiwei, 19th Highness, and 4th Highness. These 3 people are the hope of the imperial court. This is correct. When Lu Baiwei and 19th Highness join hands, it is unknown what kind of miraculous change was triggered, but their aptitude is actually comparable to a natural saint. It seems that the emperor has been matchmaking the 2 of them, and it is not without reason. Now that the Celestial Tranquility Department has obtained the Buzhou Palace, the Book of Heavenly Demon, and the Black Tortoise, if these 3 things could display their power, they will definitely shine in the future. Duke Meishi Cho analyzed. It depends on how they use it. It seems that their strength is increasing every day. As long as they can hold on for another 3 to 5 years, Lu Baiwei and 19th Highness will be able to compete with many old antiques. We still have to deal with them carefully. I am worried about those sane aristocratic families instead. The Wu clan is clearly trying to stir up trouble in the world. In addition, Eldest Highness Heir is adding fuel to the fire. Fang Lin started calculating. This has already messed up the situation. Wu Dangkong is playing tricks in the imperial court, while Gu Tanjian is setting up plans in the wilderness. Right now, all the princes have been gathered together, and the aristocratic families behind them have begun to cooperate with Gu Tanjian. Have you found out who exactly is behind Gu Tanjian? It's just a guess for now. The person behind Gu Tanjian might be the Great Spirit God, but there might be someone even more powerful. I just don't know how powerful that person is. Marquis Mei Shicho looked worried. Besides, did you find that Wu Dangkong has become more arrogant recently? It seems that he has gotten some earth-shattering support. I'm carefully investigating this matter, Fang Lin said. His Majesty allowed her to take charge of the overall situation so that she would be tainted with some fate, allowing the Son of Heaven's aura to gather on her body and draw out certain things. Could it be? Could it be the sacrificial decree? Marquis Mei Shicho suddenly thought of something. If this woman got the decree, then the situation will be complicated. As long as this woman sends out the news, it means that the way of heaven has chosen her as the Son of Heaven. At that time, with one call, hundreds will respond, and the world will be shaken by her. That's not necessary. A light appeared between Fong Lin's eyebrows. Even if this woman got the decree, she wouldn't dare to express it. She can only cultivate in secret. When her cultivation is high enough, she will show it. But don't forget that the best way to use the sacrificial decree is to carry out a big sacrifice. The Emperor will worship the heaven and earth, and then use the Son of Heaven's aura of the whole country to sacrifice. After a few times, the cultivation of the Son of Heaven will improve rapidly. In history, there was a Son of Heaven who fought with demons. After destroying the demon country, he caught countless demons and killed them. Then, he led the officials to carry out a big sacrifice. In an instant, he improved by 4 or 5 realms. That's true. Wu Dankong can't lead the civil and military officials to worship the heaven. So even if she got the sacrificial decree, she can only hold some small sacrifices. This is equivalent to putting out a cart of firewood with a cup of water. You don't have to worry about it. Marquis Mei Shicho nodded, but we also have to pay attention to one thing. Although this woman's foundation is not very stable, her means are also very big. Just look at how she made the Jingwu Chamber of Commerce famous among the people. That's natural, and we can't let her mess around. Fong Lin said, no matter how strong the Jingwu Chamber of Commerce is, it is just a small chamber of commerce. How can it be compared with the world? She can control the Jingwu Chamber of Commerce, which only proves that her talent is not bad. Although her aptitude is unparalleled, in today's world, even the born saint can't control it. Only an earth-shattering figure like the Emperor can control the world. Fong Lin, you are a minister favored by the Emperor. In the future, you will be the Prime Minister. At the same time, you also have the responsibility of discovering the world's talents. The Emperor is in seclusion, and there is some turbulence in the world. You can't be alone. I think the reincarnated people of Xingqiang will gradually appear in the future. Marquis Mei Shicho said, the Jingxian department is looking for the reincarnated people of Xingqiang. Unfortunately, there is no harvest. We have to help. I have been paying attention to this matter for a long time. Fong Lin nodded, but the old guys in the Celestial Craftsman Institute seem to be looking for them too. They want to take them in to increase their strength. They are naturally loyal to the Emperor, but they are also very selfish. The Emperor said that it is best to take the reincarnated people of Xingqiang into the Jingxian department, but the Celestial Craftsman Institute will naturally not be willing. This is also human nature. Marquis Mei Shicho sighed. The contribution of the Celestial Craftsman Institute to the Imperial Court is unquestionable. When the Emperor is here, they are loyal. But if the Emperor is in seclusion for a long time, the world will be full of rumors. They must also plan for their own way out. They may not be completely sincere. Fong Lin's judgment was very accurate. At this time, there are too few people who are truly willing to sacrifice their lives for the country and the world. However, the Celestial Commerce Department has their own plans and actions. Perhaps after some time, they will give us a huge shock. That is also true. The Jingxian department is now moving with a tight layout. They already have the capital to hold back. They have already subdued more than 400 celestial sections. This is a huge force. However, this Fong Lin shook his head. This person is unfathomable. I don't know what his thoughts are. I have heard that Wu Dankong has tried to recruit this person several times, but he has not succeeded. Gu Tanjian has also tried to recruit this person, but he has not succeeded either. Liu Baiwei, the 19th Highness, and the 4th Highness are all dragons and phoenixes among men. They must have carefully considered the problem of Jin Suebois. If they can't even consider this, they can't be called peerless geniuses. Marquis Mei Shicho said, 3 days later, I have invited the 8 great marquises, the other 2 great dukes, and some loyal people in the imperial court. We will hold a meeting to discuss how to deal with it. The emperor has been in seclusion for a year. I am afraid that there will be some changes. This should be done. Fong Lin nodded. In the wilderness, Gu Chinch's fief. Zhuge cultivated in the deepest depths of the black tortoise's nest. After Gu Chansha and Lu Baiyue set up many killing arrays, they began to crack the Book of Divine Demons. Gu Chansha used the Solar Moon Massacre as the foundation and mixed it with Lu Baiyue's Great Massacre Divine Technique to create a killing array. This array relied on the black tortoise's nest and slowly absorbed the power of the stars and the light of the sun and moon. At the same time, it also absorbed violent power from the depths of various dimensions, gathering into the array's killing Tao. Gu Chansha discovered that the Great Massacre Divine Technique was indeed worthy of being the #1 killing technique. The most powerful thing was that it used the frequency of one's essence soul to carry out complex oscillations, attracting the energy from many dimensions. Of course, there were infinite dimensions in the universe, and the energy in each dimension was different. Basically, 99% of the energy in the dimensions couldn't be absorbed by the human body. Instead, it was harmful to the human body. Some energy could even harm the essence soul. Just a little bit of it would destroy the human body and soul. Therefore, it was extremely dangerous to use the Great Massacre Divine Technique. A slight mistake would result in a disaster. There were even some dimensional energy that was incompatible with the current origin world. Just a little bit of it would cause a huge explosion. In history, there were many strange explosions that turned everything within a radius of thousands of miles into powder for no reason. It was because the energy from the dimensions leaked into this world, causing the energy to clash and become a disaster. The killing power of the array set up by the Great Massacre Divine Technique exceeded the Solar Moon Massacre. However, the flaw was that it was very difficult to control. When extracting the energy from the dimensions, it would be sealed in the array. As it was constantly extracted, the energy from the dimensions would become more and more violent. It would explode at any time, and instead, it would blast the sealed area into powder. This was much more dangerous than storing a barrel of gunpowder. However, when Gu Chansha and Lu Baiyue were setting up the array, they discovered a problem. When Gu Chinch's Son of Heaven's God Investiture Art and the Great Massacre Divine Technique were combined, it could stabilize the energy from the dimensions. Furthermore, it made it easier to use the energy from the dimensions. It could be said that with Gu Chinch's help, many of the Great Massacre Divine Technique spell formations that Lu Baiyue had set up were now operating perfectly. In the center of the sealed area was a pond. Deep within the pond was an enormous sphere that slowly revolved. Half of the sphere was a bright moon, while the other half was a great sun. Together, they formed a Taiji symbol. Within the Taiji sphere were the runes of the Great Massacre Divine Technique, constantly extracting all sorts of energy from the dimensions. The inside of the sphere was a dazzling light, but it was definitely filled with incomparable power. If it weren't for the Son of Heaven's God Investiture Art, the energy within the sphere would have long since exploded. Now, however, it was operating according to a fixed pattern, constantly extracting energy and building up its power. With each passing day, the sphere grew more terrifying. Lu Baiyue and Gu Chansha estimated that it would only take 3 months for the sphere's power to reach its peak. At that time, Zhuge would become the true Lord of 7 stars. At that time, even if Old Antique came, he would be able to give him a pleasant surprise with the array he had prepared for 3 months. Gu Chansha and Lu Baiyue's all-out attack was already extremely terrifying, let alone an attack that they had prepared for 3 months. 2 months passed. Lu Baiyue, Gu Chansha, the Fourth, and Black Tortoise were preparing the array, while at the same time doing their best to decipher the Book of Heavenly Demons. At that moment, the 4 experts were sitting in the 4 cardinal positions. Gu Chansha was in the Azure Dragon position, Lu Baiwe was in the Vermilion Bird position, the fourth was in the White Tiger position, and the Black Tortoise Baby was naturally in the Black Tortoise position. Chapter 278. If we can open the Sky Monster book and use its power to merge with Bujo Palace, even experts 10 times stronger than us won't be able to break our defense. The four experts sat in different positions. Lu Baiwe was in the lead, and when she spoke, two of her appeared above her head. This was the peak of the 17th transformation, Tao, splitting soul. On that day, Lu Baiwe and Gu Chansha had cultivated arduously for several months and refined the saintly dragon celestial armament into the heaven-mending general. She had already broken through from the 15 transformations, heaven's eye suspending, to reincarnation in a corpse. While Gu Chansha had been searching for the reincarnated Xing, Chun, and Langzhou for half a year, Lu Baiwe had also cultivated arduously and made another breakthrough. After Gu Chansha brought Zhuge back, another 2 months passed. During the time that Gu Chansha and Lu Baiwe laid out the formation, their soul power was accumulated to the max. They finally split out 3 souls and reached the max. Right now, Lu Baiwe wanted to push his cultivation level to the 18 transformations of the Great Tao Golden Core. Once his Golden Core was formed, his power would multiply, and the Great Massacre God Art would be able to unleash its true power. The Great Tao Golden Core realm was the peak. Once one cultivated it, 99% of one's sentient energy and one's soul would crystallize and turn into a golden core. This golden core was the source of one's power, the foundation of one's undying body, and what one could rely on to go against the heavens. Thinking about it, when one reached this transformation, one's lifespan would increase by 3 times and reach a lifespan of 1,000 years. This was a true change in life form. Lu Baiwe used this chance to try to break through. The stronger she was, the better. Last time, we were sucked into the book and nearly couldn't get out. Gu Chansha recalled the last time. They had almost been wiped out by Li Wanlong's concubine, Kang. But as we cultivate, everyone's cultivation has improved greatly. This time, I hope we can break open this object in one go and grasp its core. Right now, we can't unleash the full power of Bujo Palace. If we could, we would be able to create weapons, armor, pills, and all sorts of other things. We would be no weaker than the Heavenly Craftsman Institute. The fourth shook his head. We're still too weak. None of the 3 chief ministers have been able to advance to the Jinan Great Path. There's no hurry. Let's take it slow. Haste makes waste. Gu Chansha was very open-minded. His current cultivation had also reached a critical point. Previously, when he absorbed the heavenly divine light, his mental force had greatly increased. Traces of pure yang true fire were actually born in his sea of consciousness. After cultivating for so long, his sea of consciousness was now scarlet red. His mental force was vibrating with a blazing heat that could not be looked at directly. If an expert were to invade his sea of consciousness with his primordial spirit at this moment and try to control his mind, it would be fun. As long as he broke through slightly, he would be able to reach the 13th transformation, Demon Swallowing Ghost. I have comprehended 30 to 40% of the Sky Demon book. The Black Tortoise Baby drooled. The monster souls within are really delicious, especially the descendants of the Green Dragon, White Tiger, and Vermilion Bird. The monster souls contain the spirituality of ancient beasts. After I eat them, my cultivation will increase greatly. In the future, I will definitely be known as the Black Tortoise King. Legend has it that as long as one uses the Sky Demon book to the extreme, one can turn the book into a Sky Demon country. One can even take in all the monster race in the world. Many monster race sages predicted the future. They felt that with the human race's intelligence, the heavenly Tao, they would suppress the monster race so much that they would have nowhere to live. Thus, they created the Sky Demon book in hopes that one day they would be able to form an independent world that could accommodate all the monster race in the world. Gu Chansha read the books diligently and found many records regarding the Skyfae book. I found some records regarding ancient demon sages. The Skyfae book is split into several layers. The outermost layer is the demon soul world, and the deeper layer is a huge space. Inside are all sorts of Dharma treasures and pills refined by many demon sages. There are even mountains and rivers, making it a small world. As for the third level, it was where the corpses of demon sages were suppressed after they perished. It was called the Heaven Fae Tomb. When demon sages were about to die, they would enter the core of the Heaven Fae book and use their final bones to suppress the book, allowing the book to transform into a true Heaven Fae kingdom. It can also be said that this book isn't perfected. One has to go through many tribulations and tribulations, gradually obtaining opportunities in the world. It is the same for the Peerless Heaven book and Eternal Heaven book. A true treasure wasn't invincible the moment it was created. After it was born, it had to fall into someone else's hands and experience the vicissitudes of the world. Only then could it become a supreme treasure. Some Dharma treasures were annihilated in the tribulations. For example, after the Dragon Transformation Pagoda was refined, there were a few battles and its wreckage was scattered. It was equivalent to not surviving the tribulations. If the Sky Demon book was broken down by Guchan Sha and the rest and integrated into the Dragon's Gate, it could be said that the Demon Tao had fallen. Dharma treasures were the same as humans. No matter how strong an existence was, it was impossible for it to be impervious to tribulations. It would eventually fall. We haven't been able to open the deepest part of the core. Liu Baiwei said, in fact, what we need now is to break through the monster soul world and open the second layer to obtain the many pills and Dharma treasures left behind by the ancient monster race sages. To break through the monster soul world, the most important thing is to bypass the blockade of a few powerful monster souls. The Black Tortoise Treasure said, there are a few monster souls that I can't do anything to. I couldn't devour them and was nearly devoured by them. Among them, the easiest to talk to is Goddess Hu. I think we should use both carrot and stick. While applying external pressure, we should reach an agreement with these powerful monster souls. That's the plan. Liu Baiwei said, the four of us will gather our spiritual wills into one and activate the endless world at the same time to forcefully open this book. Wang, the spiritual wills of the four experts gathered together. Guchan Sha was now at the soul-snatching realm. He was at the 12 transformations of the Tao realm. Along with his mental energy, he could do 30,000 things at once. He had exceeded the mental energy of a golden core great Tao expert. People at the same realm as him could at most do 3,000 things at once. So, although his realm was much lower than the Black Tortoise Treasure, Liu Baiwei, and the fourth, the strength of his mental energy was stronger than the fourth and Liu Baiwei. He was only below the Black Tortoise Treasure. Of course, his mental energy was originally about the same as Liu Baiwei's. However, after he obtained the heavenly Tao Divine Light that day, his mental energy rose and surpassed Liu Baiwei's. Now that he used it, even the Black Tortoise Treasure was shocked. Liu Baiwei was very happy. She waved her hands and stellar energy surged. She combined it with the Black Tortoise, the fourth, and Gu Chench's stellar energy. At the same time, in the depths of Gu Chench's Dragon Gate, the Buzhou Palace and 360 Heaven Mending Divine Generals were activated. Compared to the last time when they opened the Book of Sky Demon, the four of them were indeed several times stronger. When they combined, it was completely different. The endless world formed into a physical form and entered the book. The Black Tortoise Treasure swallowed most of the monster souls in the monster soul world. In Gu Chench's spiritual will, he sensed the situation in the primordial era. However, this time, his mental energy didn't enter it completely. With the four of them combined, along with Liu Baiwei's endless world restraining the Sky Demon chaotic hole, the four of them wouldn't be in any danger when they opened the Book of Sky Demon again. The sneak attack by K. Inger wouldn't happen again. The four's spiritual wills entered the monster soul world and gathered into a huge vortex. It began devouring the monster souls in the monster soul world. Many monster souls were sucked in by the vortex. The black tortoise treasure devoured them happily. At that moment, a gentle force suddenly pushed the four's spiritual wills out of the monster soul world. Following that, a woman's figure appeared in the Book of Sky Demon. The woman's body emitted a gentle glow as 9 tails vaguely appeared behind her. "And who? I've finally lured you out." Lu Baiwe and Gu Chansha retracted their spiritual wills and looked at the woman that appeared in the Book of Sky Demon. It was as though the appearance of Ant, who was within their expectations. "Greetings, Lord Black Tortoise." Ant, whose figure appeared from the Book of Sky Demon, and bowed to the Black Tortoise treasure. "You aren't some insignificant demon. Your strength is already comparable to a god. Although the 9-tailed sky fox isn't comparable to us 4-symbol sacred beasts, you are also a supreme demon." The Black Tortoise treasure waved its claws. Among the demons, the 4-symbol sacred beasts were the most noble. They could basically rule over all the demons in the world. Even the 9-tailed sky fox bloodline couldn't compare to the 4-symbol sacred beasts. It was inevitable that one's aura would be suppressed when encountering them. All of you are dragons and phoenixes among men. It can be said that it's providence that the Book of Sky Demon has landed in your hands. However, I hope that none of you will destroy this book and preserve some vitality for us demons. How about that? And who bowed? And who? Back then, you bewitched the people and established yourself as a god. You absorbed incense offerings and faith and propagated the evil theory of reincarnation. You made the people indulge in worshiping gods and didn't know how to be independent. Later, the imperial court destroyed your temple and abolished you as a false god. You were injured by the imperial court and hid in the Book of Sky Demon to recuperate. If I'm not wrong, your true body has probably grasped a portion of the book's secrets. Guchench's tone was somewhat unyielding. "Young master is perceptive." Antu sighed and said, "Back then, before the heavenly talisman great emperor rose to power, the world was in chaos. I preached among the people and was wholeheartedly guiding them to do good. It wasn't an evil religion, and I did many good deeds. I used my divine power to treat illnesses and save lives. However, it was true that I didn't grasp the truth of the great Tao and failed to make the people constantly strive to become stronger. This is also a mistake. The imperial court can't be blamed for the calamity that happened later. Actually, His Majesty held back and didn't kill you because you didn't commit any evil deeds back then. Otherwise, do you really think that the Book of Sky Demon can withstand His Majesty's attack?" Lu Baiwen knew that although Ant who had some power, most of it was sealed in the deepest part of the Book of Sky Demon. The divine power that was revealed now wasn't great. The Book of Sky Demon wasn't controlled by Ant-Hu either. Instead, Ant-Hu's primordial spirit was fighting with some of the demon's souls. Chapter 279. Nine-tailed Celestial Fox. If I'm not wrong, you obtained the Book of Heavenly Fae a long time ago and established a religion among the people. You gathered incense and faith to strengthen your divine power because you wanted to devour a few powerful Fae souls in the book, such as Lu Wu, Qiongqi, Bai Fong, and Bai Zhe. You can't do anything about it. Do you want to use us to completely suppress this person? Obtain the Book of Heavenly Fae? The black tortoise baby's eyes darted around. No one knew what it was thinking. It was also trying to get information from Hugu God. There were a few powerful Fae souls in the Book of Heavenly Fae. They were ancient divine beasts. Even though they were inferior to the black tortoise, they were not much weaker. Furthermore, they had cultivated for a long time. If the black tortoise baby matured, it could naturally suppress them, but it was far from enough now. Lord Black Tortoise, you must be joking. I've never thought of obtaining the Book of Heavenly Fae completely. Actually, the strongest Fae soul in the Book of Heavenly Fae isn't these ancient divine beasts, but the Emperor of all Fae, Lord Northstar. Hugu God said, "If the four of you can obtain Lord Northstar's approval, you will definitely be able to use the Book of Heavenly Fae freely. What? The Black Tortoise Baby was shocked. North Star? The Book of Heavenly Fae has North Stars, Fae Soul. There really is North Star. Gu Qinsha, Lu Baiwe, and the fourth were also shocked. Rumor had it that North Star was the ancestor of all Fae, the true emperor of the Fae race. The Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, and Black Tortoise were the four sacred beasts corresponding to metal, wood, water, and fire. The earth in the middle was the Go Chun's sacred beast. However, since ancient times, the Go Chun was a legend as the ancestor of the Fae race. Other than appearing in the primordial era, no one had seen it. After humans appeared, the Go Chun was sealed in history. Who would have thought that the Book of Heavenly Fae actually had North Star's soul? This was extremely terrifying. Even the Black Tortoise's aura could not be suppressed and would be suppressed instead. The Go Chun was the ancestor of the Fae race, and the Black Tortoise was ranked behind it. If the North Star soul is really inside, a bitter smile appeared on the Black Tortoise Baby's face. If we alarm this soul, it will definitely be difficult for us to control it. Let alone opening the Book of Heavenly Fae, we might even be devoured by the book. Don't worry, Lord Black Tortoise. The North Star soul hasn't woken up for a long time. Furthermore, even if he woke up, he might not be able to deal with Lord Black Tortoise. The Lesser Demon's method was very simple. It was to communicate with Lord Black Tortoise's soul. If he could obtain the North Star's recognition and become its successor, he would be able to truly grasp the Sky Fae book. Lord Black Tortoise is a sacred beast of the demon race and is only slightly inferior to the North Star continent. Hugu's words were very tempting. You should have already communicated with the North Star well, right? Lu Baiwe suddenly said, "There are many untruths in your words. If I'm not wrong, you're gathering incense offerings not only to increase your cultivation, but also for the North Star Nation. You should be a subordinate of the North Star tribe. That North Star tribe must have encountered some unforeseen event in ancient times, which is why it's in the Book of Heavenly Demons. The Sky Demon book should contain a wisp of North Star's will. The real North Star has probably perished. However, even if a mighty being of this level perishes, as long as a wisp of will remains, it might not be impossible for him to revive over time. You're not a true god and have not been conferred a title by the Heaven's Sacrifice Talisman. You're probably unable to truly refine the power of faith and the wish of all living beings." Gu Chinch's expression did not change at all. His guess was not far from the truth. However, the North Star Nation is different. It's an unbelievably mighty existence. If it was at its peak, it would have surpassed saints. It's what can refine the wish of all living beings and use the wish of all living beings to gradually strengthen itself and revive. Am I right? This. Hugu hesitated for a moment. Gu Chensha and Lu Baiwa looked at each other and knew that there were many untruths in this nine-tailed fox's words. Although the Emperor did not tell me the true secret of the Book of Heavenly Demons, I did not know that there was a wisp of the North Star Nation's will in it. Lu Baiwa stared at Hugu and said, "Hugu, you should speak the truth. I know that you used to be an illustrious mighty being and that you're good at deceiving and seducing. Even gods can't resist the charm of the nine-tailed fox clan. In history, there were even righteous gods who were seduced by the nine-tailed fox and turned into evil gods. Are you bullying us for being young and inexperienced? Are you casually making up some specious lies? All right, let's be honest. What do you need? What do we need to? Tell each other, make an exchange, and discuss conditions? How about it?" Lu Baiwe knew the nine-tailed fox's character very well. If she trusted this fox, she would not even know how she died. However, the Heavenly Talisman Great Emperor did not kill this fox back then. Now that the Book of Heavenly Demons had fallen into the hands of the Calming Immortal Department, there was definitely a scheme involved. Since everyone put it this way, I won't hide it anymore. Hugu's expression turned cold. It's impossible for everyone to refine the Book of Heavenly Demons. In the primordial era, I was a servant of the North Star God. Back then, many sages of the demon race created this book. On one hand, it was for the survival of the demon race. On the other hand, it was to use this book to preserve the will of the North Star God. They hoped that one day, the North Star God would be resurrected. However, if everyone can help me resurrect the North Star God primogenitor, I'm willing to exchange many treasures in this book. Now that this book is in our hands, it's only a matter of time before we obtain the treasures in it. Lu Baiwe smiled. Looks like you're really worthy of being a nine-tailed fox. You don't speak the truth. I'm afraid the matters in this book are not something you can decide. There are also some powerful demon souls that are not inferior to you. What do they think? Moreover, I also know that the most important thing in this book is the will of the 28 demon god celestial sovereigns. This is the core thing. Only by using your own will to subdue the spiritual imprint left behind by the 28 demon god celestial sovereigns can you be considered to have truly grasped this book. I'm not lying to you. The wills of the 28 demon god celestial sovereigns are in the deepest depths of the core, suppressing the space-time of this book and preventing it from collapsing. Furthermore, you should be able to tell that I definitely have some special privileges to be able to manifest myself in the Sky Demon book. Why can't those demon souls and divine beasts, such as Qiongqi, Baifeng, and Baizhe, appear? And who wasn't in a hurry, as she slowly explained to Gu Chansha and company. This nine-tailed fox is really difficult to deal with. Lu Baiwe and Gu Chansha exchanged looks as they communicated telepathically. Just now, the four of them had joined forces to enter the Sky Demon book and devoured the demon souls inside wantonly. But they were directly pushed out by Aunt Hu. From the looks of it, it was very difficult to control the Sky Demon book without Aunt Hu's help. However, the nine-tailed fox, Aunt Hu, didn't speak the truth. If one wasn't careful, they would fall into a trap. It was truly difficult to deal with her. Thankfully, Aunt Hu didn't seem to be able to leave the Sky Demon book to manifest her powerful divine powers. The situation was still within Gu Chench's grasp. This Aunt Hu's words are useless to her. The fourth also transmitted his thoughts. Let's activate our divine powers and suppress her directly. I think so too. The black tortoise baby nodded. Then let's begin. If we can suppress this Aunt Hu's soul, we can unlock the key secrets. Lu Baiwe opened her eyes, emitting a blinding light as a mental storm swept out. As for Gu Chansha, he cooperated. The four experts fused their mental powers together once again, forming a seal that enveloped Aunt Hu. Everyone, are you so confident that you want to imprison me? Aunt Hu didn't resist. Her shadow drilled into the Sky Demon book and never appeared again. Everyone, if you can't open the Sky Demon book even after exhausting your essence chi, summon me again. Just as Aunt Hu drilled into the Sky Demon book, a blue light erupted from the book, forming a light barrier. The four experts' mental wills couldn't enter at all and were blocked outside. What a good Aunt Hu! A sneer appeared on Lu Baiue's face. Now that you have activated the array formation in this book, even our spiritual will can't enter the demon soul world. Let's break it forcefully. The black tortoise baby's eyes turned even faster. Its spiritual will condensed to the limit, and a color actually appeared. It was pure black. The northern black tortoise belonged to water, so its water virtue was black. The eastern azure dragon had a green wood virtue. The southern vermilion bird had a red fire virtue. The western white tiger had a white gold virtue. The black tortoise baby used its true abilities. Boom! The black water virtue, spiritual, will collided with the light on the Sky Demon book, setting off a mental storm, but it couldn't be cracked. The four of them repeatedly used their means and circulated it for 8 to 8 hours, but to no avail. When the four of them stopped using their means, the Sky Demon book's light disappeared. But the moment the four of them used their means, the book sensed danger and immediately erupted with light. It seems like we have indeed encountered an obstacle. With our strength, we can't penetrate it again. This Aunt Hu is obstructing us. Gu Chansha gave up. Circulating it for 8 to 8 hours had consumed a huge amount of his energy, and it was difficult for him to continue. Aunt Hu's strength is actually outstanding among the demons. In the past 1,000 years, she is at least ranked in the top 10 of the demon race. The first is naturally the leader of the nest of 10,000 dragons, Li Wanlong. However, if the North Star Emperor is still around, I'm afraid Li Wanlong will have to give up the title of the #1 demonic sage of the demon race. Lu Baiwei pondered over it repeatedly. It seems like the Sky Demon book contains more secrets than we imagined. It's far less pure than the Buzhou Palace. The Buzhou Palace was refined by Wan Hong. Gu Qinsha said, otherwise we wouldn't be able to circulate it so easily. However, there's still many powers that we can't unleash. If we can't open the Sky Demon book, there will probably be changes to our plan. The fourth said, Zhuge Ye's cultivation has reached the limit, and he has to break through the final barrier. He can't be suppressed anymore. Once he fuses with the 7-star profundity in his body, the phenomenon will be unconcealable. Chapter 280. With our current cultivation basis, we can't shake Ant, whose nascent soul. We can only suppress the book of heavenly Yao and slowly wear down the seal and vital energy. The black tortoise opened its mouth and swallowed the book of heavenly Yao. Let's put this matter aside for now. The fourth frowned. If Ant who can help us, we have at least a 70% chance of opening the book of heavenly Yao, obtaining the treasures within, and refining the souls of the other divine beasts. This Ant who has ulterior motives. She can't be trusted. If Zhuge Ye becomes a lord of 7 stars and cultivates for a while longer, then the 5 of us should be able to suppress Ant who with ease. Gu Qinsha stood up. But that's all useless talk. First, we need to open the book of heavenly Yao and protect Zhuge Ye as the lord of 7 stars. Do we really have to use Father's death exemption talisman? It's best not to use it if we can. His Majesty is in seclusion, and we'll need it for many other things in the future. There will be many calamities in the future. Besides, Zhuge Ye hasn't displayed his true loyalty. It's best to keep a trump card. Lu Baiwei had some things to consider. Then there's nothing we can do to prepare. We can only defend and wait for Zhuge Ye to fuse with his 7 stars' profound truths. The fourth thought about it. He prepared most of the things he needed to prepare in the past 2 months. Now, all he had to do was wait. I'll also give orders to the businesses around the fiefdom to prevent experts from appearing and causing damage. Gu Qinsha's fiefdom was currently flourishing. Magic treasures, alchemy, medicine, farming, livestock, and other businesses were divided into different business districts that spanned thousands of kilometers. The prosperity of this place had already surpassed that of the capital. We have to be careful, Lu Baiwei warned. It wasn't easy for you to manage this fiefdom. Now that it's flourishing like this, we can't let it go to waste. Gu Qinsha's figure flickered as he left his residence and headed toward the surrounding business districts. His first destination was Bao Ming-er's palace. Ever since he had an open and honest discussion with Bao Ming-er, she had revealed Gu Hua's secret. Now, she had completely cooperated with him. She had opened a branch, recruited disciples, forged treasures, and created puppets. She was doing very well. When Gu Qinsha arrived, Bao Ming-er was cultivating and refining puppets on the altar in the depths of the palace. Bao Ming-er's altar was octagonal in shape. It was forged from the finest jade stone mixed with the essence of 5 metals. It was densely covered with divinatory diagrams and stars. The array formation was faintly discernible. It was extremely brilliant. On top of the altar was a dark golden creature. It was thumb-sized and lifelike. It looked like an ant, but it also looked like a golden silkworm. It also looked like some kind of strange insect. It seemed to be a real living creature, but it was also a puppet magical treasure. Bao Ming-er channeled her Khanate Gang Qi into the dark gold strange worm and kept modifying it. She molded its meridians and carved formations so that it could automatically absorb spirit qi and store it. Gradually, it gained spirituality. Gu Qinsha found that the strange worm's aura was extremely strange. This is the worm of heaven and earth that our Great Way dynasty uses for battle and construction. If we can refine tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of them, their construction ability will far exceed that of the gods of nature. Their fighting ability is not weak either. They can eat through all things and melt them in their bodies, gradually producing black-yellow true gold. Bao Ming said, "Not only that, these ants have unfathomable uses. They can eat connate gang qi and even the mental and primordial spirit of cultivators. This is a new species that the black-yellow dragon emperor has recently cultivated using a supreme technique. It is a puppet and a living creature, and it breeds extremely quickly. Even the dragon emperor himself feels that if this insect is released into the forest, all living things will be doomed." Is that amazing? Gu Qinsha's heart shook. The Great Wei dynasty had brewed such a powerful thing, and it was clearly targeted at the Yonko. The black-yellow dragon emperor was a natural saint. He was ambitious, and his cultivation was extremely high. He was comparable to a true ancient saint, and even gods were not his match. This worm of heaven and earth is not as simple as you think it is. Bao Ming observed, "I only have one, and I need to use my own connate gang qi and my own mental energy to cultivate it. As long as this worm is excited, it can devour spiritual energy, flesh, and soul on its own to breed. From there, it will cover the sky and land and cause a worm disaster. This should be the greatest secret of the Great Wei dynasty. Why are you telling me?" Gu Qinsha wanted to see if this worm was really that powerful. "Because I want to use your Buzhou Palace to activate this worm. I want to share the secret with you. The most difficult thing about this worm is that it is difficult to activate. Your Buzhou Palace is a secret factory used by the Son of Heaven to make weapons, puppets, and treasures. If you use it well, perhaps we can all see the secret of this worm." Bao Ming looked at the worm of heaven and earth with some fear. "I'm afraid the situation is not that simple." Gu Qinsha smiled. "Since this worm was cultivated by the black-yellow dragon emperor, it must contain supreme intelligence. It will not be easy to see through it. If I can activate this worm, then it will produce thousands of little worms. Not only will my battle power increase greatly, but I can also create black-yellow true gold. This will increase my ability to refine treasures tenfold, and I can transform the mountains and rivers here. Other than that, these worms of heaven and earth can also be used as livestock. They are much stronger than the 6,000-year-old bone demons," Bao Ming said. "I'm afraid that this bug of yours was not given to you by the black-yellow dragon emperor. You must have stolen it. If it was really a reward, it would not be so difficult to activate it." Gu Qinsha guessed at something. "I really can't hide anything from you." Bao Ming's expression changed, then returned to normal. "It's all because of you that my family was reprimanded by the black-yellow dragon emperor. Is it because of what happened to Gu Hua?" Gu Qinsha asked. "That's right. You took Gu Hua's golden core, but you did not kill him. You even let him go. Did you already plan to let him go back and tell on me, forcing me to submit to you?" Bao Ming frowned. "To be honest, I also have the same thoughts. Of course, the most important thing is that Gu Calamity created the 9-disaster transformation divine art. It is a response to the Bane Star. In the future, the person who reincarnates the Bane Star might want to obtain it from him. Moreover, even if he recultivates to the Gold Core realm, his every move is still in my grasp." Gu Qinsha suddenly realized that he had lost the Heaven Sacrificial Talisman and could no longer control Gu Calamity. Back then, he had used the sacrificial sun and moon to control Gu Hua's every move through the sacrificial sun and moon altar. Now, that was no longer possible. Now, my faction family are having a hard time in the Great Wei dynasty. Luckily, the black-yellow dragon emperor is in seclusion, so we have a breather. Bao Ming naturally would not fall out with Gu Qinsha because of this. Anyway, if you can help me now, not only will you benefit, but I will also be able to gain a foothold. I will definitely help you, but not now." Gu Qinsha waved his hand. "In a few days, when I finish something important, I will help you. I can even help your family strengthen their foundations." Even the black-yellow dragon emperor cannot stop your family from rising. Perhaps your family can replace the black-yellow dragon emperor and become the ruler of the Great Wei dynasty. Guchen's voice was very tempting. He was also trying to recruit Bao Ming. Are you trying to recruit me and the family behind me? Betray the black-yellow dragon emperor under the Great Wei dynasty? Bao Ming smiled slightly. If you want to recruit me completely, that's fine. Help me become an unparalleled genius, and I will submit to you and become your subordinate. How about that? That Gu Tanjian tried to recruit me, and the price was a dragon creation elixir, which could also help me become an unparalleled genius. I knew it. Gu Qinsha seemed to have calculated all of this. You are on good terms with me, and you have an important position in this fief. I will definitely try to recruit you. Bao Ming was an outstanding disciple of the Myriad Treasure's mysterious gate, and she was also the Dragon Lord of the Great Wei dynasty. She had a powerful family behind her, and she could be said to be a proud daughter of heaven. She and Gu Qinsha worked together and used their own resources to open up a huge trade route. They sold some of the resources in the fief to the Great Wei dynasty, and then bought resources from the Great Wei dynasty to transport to the fief. As time went by, Gu Qinsha's fief became rich, and Bao Ming reaped great benefits. In addition, Long Yuyun had also used her connections to open up a business relationship with the Myriad Treasure's mysterious sect. The Myriad Treasure's mysterious sect mainly refined Dharma treasures, and jade was the most expensive of all materials. The jade in the Baoyu nation was almost endless. As long as they could open up a trade route, they could obtain endless wealth from the immortal Tao. In addition, after Gu Qinsha obtained the Buzhou Palace, any materials that were slightly processed and refined through the Buzhou Palace would become peerless treasures that were not inferior to natural treasures. Bao Ming benefited even more. Although Bao Ming had not yet entered the Calmness Immortal Department, many people with discerning eyes believed that she would enter the Calmness Immortal Department sooner or later. What kind of person was Gu Tanjian? He was sinister and ruthless. He had long planned to recruit people. However, Bao Ming seemed to see that Gu Qinsha was more valuable, so she had not agreed. Gu Qinsha did not need to investigate these little tricks. He could guess them with a little thought. But I do not have the means to turn you into an unparalleled prodigy. Gu Qinsha really did not have that ability now. If I am not wrong, your current aptitude is that of an unparalleled prodigy. If you can turn yourself, you can turn me. Bao Ming did not believe it. Gu Qinsha smiled bitterly. When he became an unparalleled prodigy, the heavenly sacrifice talisman was still there. He had also borrowed all of Gu Hua's edicts. It was equivalent to him stealing the emperor's qi from the Great Wei dynasty and the black-yellow dragon emperor. That was why he had used the heavenly sacrifice to forcibly increase his aptitude to that of an unparalleled prodigy. Even with the heavenly sacrifice talisman in hand, he did not have that much emperor's qi. I'm not lying to you. Gu Qinsha's tone was sincere. I changed my fate and became an unparalleled prodigy. That was a fortuitous encounter that could not be sought out. However, if you want to change your aptitude, it is not impossible. What opportunity? To cooperate with Gu Tanjian? Bao Ming smiled faintly. However, this person is sinister and ruthless. There is a terrifying existence behind him. If I cooperate with him, I will inevitably fall into his trap. Chapter 281. You mean to cheat him of his dragon-nurturing pill? Bao Ming's eyes lit up then dimmed. She said indifferently, Gu Tanjian is not a fool. I'm afraid he won't fall for it. Furthermore, how precious is an ancient dragon-nurturing pill? How could he give it away so easily? That will depend on our schemes and methods. Gu Qinsha laughed. I also want to find out what almighty being is supporting this person. He actually scattered the dragon-nurturing pills and dragon creation pills like they were candy. You should know that with my current cultivation, it is very difficult to condense a dragon-nurturing pill and create a genius. Gu Qinsha, Lu Baiwe, and the others condensed many ancient treasures into the Dragon Gate. Then, they used the heaven-mending divine General and Buzhou Palace to condense the Dragon Gate. As their cultivation increased, the Dragon Gate became stronger and more profound. However, it was still very difficult to refine a dragon-nurturing pill from it. This was originally a heaven-defying matter. It consumed too much essence qi and delayed cultivation. It was impossible for Gu Qinsha and Lu Baiwe to waste their time and cultivation to condense the dragon-nurturing elixir. Time was very precious to them. If they worked together with their current cultivation, they could condense a dragon-nurturing elixir in a few months. However, their cultivation would stagnate during these few months. Instead, they would expend a large amount of essence qi, and it would take a long time for them to recover. A dragon-nurturing pill can turn a fool into a genius. It is not child's play. I am also a genius, Bao Ming sighed. Bao Ming sighed. However, as your and Lu Baiyue's cultivation levels rise, it's only a matter of time before you condense a dragon-cultivating pill. If you can obtain some ancient items from the prehistoric Dragon Gate, condensing a dragon-cultivating pill wouldn't be surprising. Bao Ming had lived in Gu Qinsha's fief for 2 years. She did business with the Calming Immortal Bureau and knew a little about Gu Qinsha and Lu Baiyue's secrets. She knew that if Gu Qinsha and Lu Baiyue worked together, their cultivation speed would be fast, their comprehension ability would be strong, and their battle strength would be terrifying. They were born to be saints. If she could form a good relationship with these two, she would be able to attack or defend in the future. Her eyes were sharp, and she had long seen through the potential of the Jingxian Sea. Not only that, both Gu Qinsha and Lu Baiwe were deeply trusted by the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. Gu Tianjian has a lot of good stuff on him. If we can use a scheme to test his strength and take advantage of him, that's not a bad idea. Gu Qinsha said, I can do my best to help you. How about we finalize a plan? Sure. Bauminger thought about it carefully and realized that it wasn't impossible. That's right. You've been working with Lu Baiwe, the fourth prince, and that black tortoise recently. You've set up many ultimate killing formations. Even I can feel their terrifying power. What are you guys up to? The Jingxian Sea has so many things to do, and there's even Wu Dankong causing trouble in the imperial court. You guys let them go and run your fiefdom here. This is really unusual. We're setting up a formation here and using its power to suppress and decipher the Book of Heavenly Demons. That's one thing. The other thing is, Gu Qinsha paused. It seems there really is a big secret. Bao Ming waved her hand. This is the business of the Jingxian Sea. It's rude of me to ask about it. Big Sister Ming has been one of us for the past few years. Gu Qinsha's tone changed. There's no harm in telling her, but this matter must not be leaked. It seems it really is something big. Bao Ming's expression turned serious. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone. Gu Qinsha suddenly transmitted his will into Bao Ming's mind. Bao Ming accepted the will. Her mouth gaped open in disbelief. Lord of 7 Stars, you actually found someone like this. This is the natural talent of Saint. If the Black-Yellow Dragon Emperor finds out, he'll come to steal it. That's why this place will be affected. Gu Qinsha looked at Bao Ming. This was a show of his sincerity. He was open and above board, and he had great trust in her. Bao Ming calmed down and thought for a long time. Suddenly, she seemed to have made a decision. Can I join the Jingxian Sea? If Big Sister Ming joins the Jingxian Sea, that would be our greatest wish. But I'm afraid the myriad treasures Mystic Gate and the Great Might Empire won't be able to accommodate you. Gu Qinsha was delighted, but after a moment's thought, he began to worry about Bao Ming's situation. I'll join in secret. I'll provide you with information and resources. But if anything happens in the future, how about you help me? Bao Ming's words gave Gu Qinsha a premonition that she might be in trouble. Even if you don't join the Jingxian Sea, I'll protect you. Of course, Gu Qinsha had a way with words. Then it's settled. Big Sister Ming, if you join the Jingxian Sea, I'll give you whatever resources you need. All I need is for the Buzhou Palace to activate the black-yellow worm for me. But now it seems that you really do have something important to do. The Lord of Seven Stars is no small matter. For her to voluntarily seek refuge with us, could there be some sort of trap? What if the Jing Xianxi helps him overcome his difficulties, but then he goes back on his word? Bao Ming'er was also worried. The Jing Xianxi's philosophy is to be tolerant and to accept all rivers into the sea. If the Lord of Seven Stars asks for help, we have to help him. If we refuse, we'll be overly suspicious and we'll become enemies. It doesn't matter if he's plotting something or not. It's the rule of the imperial court to help him. If he goes back on his word, we'll suppress him. That's how the imperial court works. Gu Qinsha had long since come up with a plan. This is an overt plot. It's in line with the imperial court's style. The Jingxian has nurtured people like this. Bao Ming'er nodded. If the Grand Prestige dynasty were to encounter something like this, they wouldn't be so open and above board. They'd probably send people to imprison him and deprive him of his freedom. Actually, the imperial court's greatest overt plots are its laws and regulations. Once they're established, anyone can do whatever they want within their boundaries. No one is allowed to take even half a step outside of their boundaries. Gu Qinsha mulled over his own way of doing things, but felt that there was nothing wrong with it. Gu Tanjin's way of doing things is sinister and secretive, and he's broken many laws. In truth, the imperial court is well aware of this. Grand Emperor Heavenly Talisman should be well aware of what he's doing. Why hasn't he suppressed him? Bao Ming'er said, according to what I know, Gu Tanjin and his father, Gu Hongsha, both cultivate secret arts of the Devil Dao, and they're cruel to the living. Imperial Father wouldn't personally take care of such trivial matters. Naturally, he'll leave them to us. Gu Qinsha frowned, but he's still a member of the Imperial clan, so it'll be a bit troublesome to deal with. If we don't handle it properly, it'll have a huge impact. The common people will think that we brothers are fighting over the throne, and that we're killing each other. You've thought this through thoroughly, Bao Ming'er said. But as long as the Calming Immortal Department can help Zhuge Ye fuse with the 7 stars in his body, and also gain Zhuge Ye's support, then the Calming Immortal Department's prestige will truly reach its peak. In truth, the reincarnated stars represent some sort of destiny. If even the Lord of 7 Stars joins the Calming Immortal Department, then it's the destiny of the heavens. The destiny of the heavens. Gu Qinsha smiled bitterly. He thought to himself, the heavenly sacrificial talisman is the true destiny of the heavens. I don't know who has it, but based on Zhuge Ye's and our conjectures, the talisman has fallen into Wu Dongkong's hands. She's probably using the talisman to accumulate power, and when the time is right, she'll toss it out. When that happens, all the heroes of the world will have to submit to her. What are you thinking about? Bao Ming saw that Gu Qinsha was lost in thought again. It's fine. Gu Qinsha waved his hand. Let's discuss how to get the Dragon Revival pill out of Gu Tanjin's hands. Aren't you a godly thief? You can steal it. Bao Ming'er smiled. You've stolen more than half of the demonic ape temple's wealth. Speaking of which, after Zhuge Ye's matter is settled, I'll launch an all-out attack on the demonic ape temple and destroy it in one fell swoop. The evil god's priests and the demonic apes are also a problem. If I want to expand my fief, I'll have to deal with the demonic apes first. Gu Qinsha was also thinking about the future of his fief. The resources near our fief have all been harvested. If we want more ores and herbs, we'll have to go deeper into the forest. But the demonic apes have taken over that area. Many merchants and adventurers have been attacked by the demonic apes, and their corpses have been destroyed. It looks like it's time to eradicate the demonic apes. Bao Ming'er said, the demonic apes had been transformed by the evil god's demonic energy. They knew martial arts and were highly intelligent. They came and went like the wind in the forest. They were ferocious by nature. They would even form groups to rob humans, attack human encampments, eat human flesh, and bring them back to the evil god to gain strength. In the ancient records, the demonic apes had even organized armies to invade cities and capture humans to be sacrificed. Gu Qinsha had long thought of launching an all-out attack on the demonic ape temple of chaos to expand his fief and exterminate the demonic apes. But he never had the chance. Perhaps, after this matter with Zhuge, he could continue to expand his territory. After discussing with Bao Ming, the two of them decided on a plan. After Gu Qinsha came out, he went straight to the medical center. In his fief, other than Bao Ming's refining treasures, the most profitable business was the medical center set up by the voodoo sects Human King Voodoo and Blue Inchworm. They used voodoo to refine pills and cure people. Of course, since the two of them joined him sincerely, Gu Qinsha didn't treat them badly. He tried his best to support the two of them. At the same time, he taught them techniques to increase their strength. He also nurtured them to learn other medical knowledge. After 2 years, the two of them had reached the Tao Realm 9 Transformation Glass Jade Body. The two of them weren't geniuses, so it was impossible for them to cultivate the Glass Jade Body. But to nurture them, Gu Qinsha would use dragon energy to cleanse them, causing them to be extremely close to being geniuses. At this moment, the two of them weren't just using voodoo techniques. They also used many techniques from the celestial path. Moreover, during these 2 years, many officials and nobles were saved. They had a really good reputation, and no one said that they were from the demon path anymore. Reputation was really important. In a few years, their reputation would spread out, and the celestial path mysterious sect wouldn't dare to casually kill them. When Gu Qinsha arrived at the medical center, the two of them were in a tough spot. Chapter 282. The baby's cry came. Gu Qinsha saw a conjoined baby lying on the bed in the inner room of the clinic. The baby had 2 heads, 4 hands, and 4 feet. Their heads were connected, and their whole body was wrapped in a towel. Obviously, they had just been born and looked like a monster. At this time, the couple, Wang Ji and Lan Qi, were in a dilemma. Obviously, someone sent the baby to separate Wang Ji and Lan Qi so that the baby could become a normal person. Your Highness, seeing Gu Qinsha appear here, the two hurriedly knelt down on one knee. What? You want to separate the baby? Gu Qinsha had also read a lot of medical books. In history, many conjoined babies were born, and some even had 2 heads sharing a body. But most of them did not live long. This pair of babies was sent by a big family in Xin province. They are the direct descendants of the family. They asked for help everywhere, but no one could do anything. So they were sent to us. If we don't separate them, I'm afraid they won't live long. But the 2 babies' heads are connected, and many parts of their brains are connected. With our cultivation, we can't separate them. Wang Ji sighed. Xin province. Gu Qinsha frowned. Xin province is the bottomless sea of sin. Father cut thousands of mountains to fill it and seal many cracks. But ever since the last great earthquake, many places have begun to stir. Is this child born from the aura of sin? Xin province was the center of Yanko. There was a bottomless sea of sin in it. Since ancient times, demons and ghosts have been born. People living around it would sometimes be infected with the chi of sin and give birth to strange freaks. Some people would even be pregnant with devil fetus. Your Highness, please take a look at this baby. Wang Ji said, recently, there have been many patients in Xin province. It seems that the devil chi has leaked. Some patients have an attack. Hair grows all over their bodies and fangs grow out. They go everywhere and eat people's blood and flesh. They have become evildoers. Marquis Calming Sea is organizing people in Xin province to move. It seems that some devil chi has leaked out of the bottomless sea of sin. It is possible that this baby is infected with devil chi. That's fine as well. Although your cultivations are not bad, you still can't use God power. Gu Qinsha's cultivation was at the peak of Tao Realm Transformation 12, Soul Snatching. At any moment, he could step into demon swallowing and ghost eating realm. His mental power could search many things. Originally, the medical center's matter was a small matter to him. However, since he had encountered it and the conjoined twins were indeed pitiful, he decided to take action and solve the problem. His psychic power turned into tentacles and enveloped the bodies of the 2 babies. In an instant, he knew the situation of the babies like the back of his hand. The baby's head was connected, and even parts of the brain were connected. If he wanted to separate them, he would have to separate his head. But after their brains were separated, neither of the babies would survive. However, Guqin Sha could make up for this problem. His heaven-mending astral energy was a mystical energy built on top of the sun and moon dragon energy. It was also a combination of the sun and moon dragon energy and the great slaughter astral energy. It was a martial art that had never been seen before. As the name suggested, the mysteries of heaven mending could even mend the deficiencies of the heavenly Tao, let alone the brain of an infant. He pinched a seal, and a gust of heaven mending astral energy immediately enveloped the baby. Then it began to seep into the baby's skin and slowly split it apart. His psychic power was very multitasking. He could clearly see the parts of the baby's brain that were connected to each other. He immediately used heaven-mending astral energy to protect and repair every part of the baby's brain to prevent the baby from dying. However, babies were very fragile. Guqin Sha felt that if it weren't for the mystical heaven-mending astral energy that could mend the life and death of the baby, even an expert at the level of Golden Dan Great Tao or above would be powerless to do anything. Open for me. He struck out the life talisman of the sun and moon talismans. With a violent shake, he was about to separate the two babies and turn them into two normal people. However, the moment he activated the talisman, an enormous starlight suddenly gushed out from an unknown part of the baby's body, directly shattering Guqin Sha's astral energy. What? Guqin Sha's shock was no small matter. Profound meaning of the stars? These conjoined twins are actually the reincarnation of someone from the stars. The power of the stars contains both yin and yang. They are actually two stars in the same body. These two stars are attracted to each other, and they are a pair. Just as the starlight exploded and shattered Guqin Sha's astral energy, two beams of starlight carried an extremely evil aura. They wrapped around Guqin Sha as if to absorb his soul and blood essence. What a powerful, profound meaning of the stars. Without even thinking, Guqin Sha activated all the astral energy in his body, wanting to seal the evil stars. Some stars were born with evil and demonic qi. Those who were reincarnated with such profound meanings were destined to become evil demons, bringing endless calamities to all living beings. Guqin Sha could tell that these two stars were the heavenly sin star and the earthly evil star from the records. These two stars were a bunch, one heaven and one earth, one sin and one evil. One belonged to the 36 heavenly stars, and the other to the 72 earthly fiends. The two stars accompanied each other, and their sins were monstrous. Why would they appear here? And they were hidden very deeply. If it weren't for Guqin Sha forcibly separating them, they probably wouldn't have appeared at all. The reason why this two-star profound meaning was so powerful was probably because it had absorbed a lot of demonic qi to strengthen itself. However, it hadn't fused with the infant's souls yet. These two stars have absorbed the demonic qi of the Sin province, so they carry the profound meaning of evil. If they fuse with these two infants, they'll probably become demons in the future. Guqin Sha's mind spun. But is Zhuge Ye the reason why this profound meaning of the stars appeared here? Zhuge Ye is the Lord of 7 stars, the king of the reincarnated stars. He has the ability to attract the reincarnated stars to join him. As he pondered this, his hands didn't slow down. With a wave of his hand, he used the life heaven-mending art. Instantly, starlight filled the small room. Then, all sorts of runes appeared, firmly locking down the two profound meanings of the heavenly sin star and the earthly evil star. Star power and star profound meaning were different. To put it simply, star power was a kind of energy equivalent to a cultivator's connate astral energy. Star profound meaning was a cultivator's nascent spirit. Cultivators could use all sorts of methods to attract star power to descend and use it for themselves, but they couldn't absorb the profound meaning of stars. The profound meaning of stars had to be sensed by the heavenly Tao. The consciousness of the stars was activated by the heavenly will and thus descended to be reincarnated in someone's body. After that person died, the profound meaning of stars would automatically return to the star itself. This was the reason for the reincarnation of star lords. There were all sorts of stars. Some were good and some were evil. Some were wooden, some were violent, and some were destructive. If the world was chaotic, there would be stars of the righteous path descending on people to save the world. If the world was prosperous, there would be stars of misfortune descending to wreak havoc in the world. Now that the heavenly sin star and the earthly evil star had descended, they were probably here to wreak havoc in the world. Since he found out, Clipchamp wouldn't let these two infants become reincarnated stars. He wanted to collect these two profound meanings and merge them into the Dragon Gate. He naturally had a way to refine the profound meaning of stars and obtain a supreme nascent spirit. This was the ability from the Son of Heaven sealing God technique. Along with the strength of the Great Massacre God technique, it could shatter the profound meaning of stars and turn it into nourishment for the body. Actually, every time a reincarnated star appeared, many strong people would try to snatch the profound meaning of stars. In history, there were some who succeeded. After refining it, their cultivation increased greatly. However, more often than not, the reincarnated star would escape. In the future, when they came back to take revenge, they would be killed by the person who tried to snatch it. Under fate and karma, no one would be able to escape. Whoosh! At this moment, Lu Baiwei appeared. She and Clipchamp had a telepathic connection. With just a slight movement, she knew that something was wrong and immediately rushed over. Heavenly Sin Star and Earthly Evil Star, two stars of misfortune, appeared on these conjoined twins. Lu Baiwei knew what was going on right away. Quick, help me. Clipchamp didn't need to say much. With just a thought, Lu Baiwei used the Great Massacre God technique and his common people heaven-mending technique. When the two of them worked together, their strength increased by 10 times. 1. The profound meaning of stars was gradually suppressed. Spirits searching, Lu Baiwei's cultivation was already extraordinary. Along with Clipchamp's help, she was able to unleash her full strength. Both of their wills were refined into one, forming a whirlpool that seeped into the souls of the two babies. They wanted to draw out the profound meaning of stars. If they met someone from the demonic path, it would be easy. They just had to burn the two babies to ashes and devour their souls. Then, the profound meaning of stars would naturally appear. However, Clipchamp and Lu Baiwei wanted to protect the lives and souls of the two babies to force out the profound meaning of stars. This was extremely difficult. However, both of them knew that if they didn't force it out, these two babies would become demons, and they wouldn't be able to escape death. Common people heaven-mending technique. Return to the righteous path. Clipchamp used the life-mending heaven technique again and again, pushing his mental energy to the limit, trying his best to protect the two babies' fragile souls. Meanwhile, Lu Baiwei used all three of his primordial spirits to form a formation. A powerful soul vortex spread out from it. A huge suction force started to pull. This was purely the pulling of souls. If it wasn't for Clipchamp protecting the two babies' souls, their souls would have been destroyed long ago. Finally, two stars with a sinful aura floated out from the two babies' bodies. They gave off a strong demonic power that made one's heart tremble. As expected, there are two demonic stars. Clipchamp frowned. Suppress. Without thinking, Lu Baiwei used the endless world. Instantly, her sentient energy and her soul sealed the profound meaning of the reincarnation of the heaven's sin star and the earth's evil star. The two babies actually separated and breathed steadily. There wasn't even a scar on their bodies. Clipchamp checked and felt relieved. These two babies are actually geniuses. If they fuse with the star ultimacy, they will immediately become peerless geniuses. Moreover, with our cultivation base, they will be reborn. In the future, when they cultivate, it will be like reaching the heavens in one step. Tell their parents to let them be trained by the calming deity department. Liu Baiyue ordered Wang Ji. However, if they don't agree, then forget it. Yes, Wang Ji carried the babies and immediately left. We should be able to refine the profound meaning of these two stars, right? Gu Qinsha said. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.